Hello, my Teaserking family. How the hell is everybody today? Just so happy yesterday. I hit the lock. I hit the free picks. I made you guys some money. I get very depressed when I miss the free pick. I want everybody to win. If you can't afford the picks or whatever you're doing. So I love when the Miami game went to 100 points, and I only needed 41, which is the whole point of the lock. Was the over under was only 47. And after watching Denver, Washington play to a 70, I had no doubt this game was going to be explosive. I had them in two teasers. The lock was, of course, New England was, of course, the over. In the Miami game with the under in the Dallas game, which, thanks to Dak Prescott, we kept because he threw, I don't know how many picks he threw, but I know he picked one with 3 minutes left at the 7-yard line. He threw an interception to save our under. So we'll be sending Dak some prizes. San Diego wins the game straight out. It's just play the dog in the San Diego game. I've never seen anything like it. They just play close games. Jefferson had like 100 catches, and Keenan Allen had 100 catches. Just some good defense play. Okay, I got to burn the coaches. You're up 28-24. You got the ball at the 28-yard line, 25-yard line. You punt the ball. You're up 4 points with a minute left. Just punt the ball. Play the defense. What the fuck was he doing? So he goes for it. And I love how they try to justify it. Well, if we get it, we win the game. And if you don't get it, you should have lost the game. Minnesota had like 10 snaps, but Kirk Cousins is so bad he couldn't complete passes. But I'm sorry. You do not go for 4th and 1 with a minute left in the game and you have the lead at your own 25-yard line. 0% of the time you should go for it. Because if you're so worried about the first down and you win the game, then maybe you should have got it not running the stupid plays you ran on first, second, and third down. So I don't know what this is why San Diego loses. This coach is the worst coach I've ever seen because he did it last year in a game. He goes for it, 4th and 1 at their own 40. I mean, you've got to understand field position. You got to understand the time of the game. Punt the ball away. There's only a minute left. Make them go 80 yards. You don't. I mean, are you worried they're going to run the punt back for a touchdown? I mean, you got to be kidding. Then punt the ball out of bounds. No good coach in the history of life would go for 4th and 1 at their own 25 with a minute left and a 4-point lead. By far the stupidest move I've ever seen. Stupider than the Lions coach going for the fake punt in his own 17. I mean, you got some really stupid coaches. And I have the perfect example. So these stupid announcers all praise the 4th down. Oh, look, they're aggressive. They want to win. That would be like me having a pair of 8s and you have a pair of aces. And I know this because an ace, king, 8 flopped and it gave me a pair of 8s and you're betting. So you either have aces or kings and you make a big bet, a couple $100. Now, if I call, am I smart? Am I aggressive? Am I trying to win? Or am I a fucking idiot because there's only 2 8s left in the deck, maybe only one? The odds on me winning are so slim. Well, that's what these idiots are doing. They're being aggressive, but the odds on them winning, being coaches with their heads so far up their ass, they don't know what they're doing. It's the same thing. I mean, even if you do get it, you didn't gain anything. And here, if they do get it, they don't. Like if San Diego got it, they won. But if they don't get it, they easily could lose, and that's exactly what happened. He didn't get it. Again, they think this 4th and 1 crap is automatic. We saw the Ohio State Notre Dame game. 4 fucking times they went 4th and 1 and didn't get it. 4 times. Is that good coaching? No wonder this Todd Day should be fired from Ohio State, man. That's just idiot coaching. And it's not even that. It's then the play they call, right? I mean, okay, you got 4th and 1 at the 1 yard line. Understandable, you want to go for it. But only if you have a play that gets there. 1974, Michigan, Ohio State. Twice Michigan got down at the 1 yard line, and 4th and they were like 1st and goal to 2. Bo runs into the line 3 times. So, of course, now he's going to go for it on 4th down, and he doesn't get it twice. Final score, Ohio State 14, Michigan 12, meaning if the idiot would have kicked the field goal both times, Michigan would have won. Take your points. That's what the game's all about. The game is about the team with the most points wins. Not the team with the stupidest coach wins. So I think there was another game. Was it college? No, I think it was the Ohio State game I was going to refer. So these coaches with this 4th down crap are just idiots. Okay, maybe you have a special play that you know is going to work. Maybe I can, but not inside your own 50. I don't see it at all. But if you have this play, at least if you're going to go for, have a play that's going to get it. Don't run into the middle of the line and lose 2 yards and then, oh, wow, what a great coach for going for it. With that play, you're going to get it 0% of the time. You're a fucking idiot. So we're looking at some of the dumbest coaches in history. So let's go through the games yesterday, and we got 2 games today. Okay, so let's go through the 2 games today first. I got the Eagles 4.5, 45. That line hasn't moved. And I got Cincinnati's now 3, 44.5. Went down to 1.5. Now it's back to 3. So I assume Joe Burrow is now playing in the game. And the under went from 43.5 to 44.5. Okay. So there's a trend on Philly. They're a very good road favorite. And then we have to see what's going on with Joe Burrow. How healthy is he if they had to wait till game time to say, yeah, Joe, you're going to play? Joe Burrow's questionable with the calf. But I have a feeling on some of these sites he's not. Let's go into here. Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, questionable with the calf. So somehow he must have stated he's playing, although he's still questionable with the calf. So I'm not sold that he's 100% anyway. All right, so let's go through the games yesterday. So I'm going to give you the score, and then I'm going to give you the real score, and we'll talk through them. So the Niners 30-10 win 30-12. I just want to get that in. So we nailed the Niner game. I got Tennessee winning 17-13. Cleveland wins 27-3. I have the game under 44. So it's still an under. I played it under. Knowing that Chubb was out, I didn't know what I knew. I knew that Henry was playing. I just know Tennessee's got a strong defense, and apparently so does Cleveland. It's an under versus under, so you play it under, which I did, and we get the W. So off to a good start. Next game, San Diego Mini. I have San Diego winning 27-24. They win 28-24. Not bad. Both teams over. The over-under was 53, so the over does come through, but San Diego is such a good road dog, and Minnesota is such a lousy favorite. This was a perfect game that gave it to you free. I had it big, San Diego plus the 8, and it was a winner. I actually played it with Michigan under, so I wanted to make sure I had San Diego. So that's about as good as you can get, calling it 27-24, and they win 28-24. Atlanta, Detroit, 31-30. Atlanta, 20-6 is the actual score. What the fuck happened? Good question. I'd like to know. So I did some thinking about this, and the Lions look bad against good passing teams, like Seattle. Probably the Rams would probably light them up. Kansas City would have lit them up if they didn't drop the passes and Kelsey didn't get hurt. Let's see. Who else passes the ball around would give them problems. However, they seem to have a better defense with like the Riddler, who can't really – he's not a great – they're more of a running team. So there's this good running team, and Detroit can play for the run. Their weakness is they have no rush and they have no secondary. So Atlanta couldn't get to their weakness, right? Because they're running the ball. Detroit has good linebackers, but it only works against running teams. So that's why Detroit is so inconsistent and so hard to predict. They only scored 20 points. So I lose this over under. It was 41-40. I don't need any. I just need a 20-point game. How the fuck do they not put up? How the Lions don't put up 30 and how Atlanta doesn't put up 20? Atlanta puts up 6 points against this defense is embarrassing. But that's what I take away from it. So Minnesota should light them up. I'm not sold on Jordan Love, that he's a good quarterback. I don't know. They play Green Bay Thursday night. I thought they already played a Thursday night game against Kansas City, and then they got Thanksgiving. So it's really weird. They got to play 3 Thursday night games. This is the problem with the NFL, all these weird scheduling. You want to get into a rhythm. Every Sunday, we go to the park at 10, we play at 1. Or maybe you go to the West Coast, you play at 4. Now it's, well, you're going to play Thursday this week. Then you're going to have 10 days off to get ready for the Sunday game. What kind of schedule do they have? The fucking league is so stupid. And it hurts the product. They probably do it for the betting because it's so hard to bet when you don't have a fucking, there's no schedule for the players, so you don't know what you're going to get. I would use that as an excuse for the Dallas game, but I can't because they played Sunday, I think. let's see, the week before, Dallas played, they played the Jets at home. And now they're at Arizona, but they played Sunday and Sunday, so it really shouldn't have had an issue. Where these teams coming off the Thursday night game really have an issue. So let's walk through it. Indy and Baltimore. So for all you Lamar Jackson fans, what can I say? This is why I never bet on Baltimore or Jacksonville. Minshew State plays instead of Richardson. Why he isn't the quarterback all the time is beyond belief. That's how bad the ownership. I think the ownership's forcing the coach, but you got to be fucking kidding me. They go into Baltimore and they win 22-19. My score was 27. Well, initially it was 27-14 with Richardson. Then Minshew came in. I went to 27-17, but it probably would have been different had when I was in my mindset that I would have known it was Minshew. But still, 27-17 to 44, and it ends up 22-19 to 41. Indy wins. Baltimore gets 19 points on this defense. This is not a good defense, Indy. Lamar, where is he? What the fuck? I mean, you can't beat Indy at home? Wow. So Indy with Minshew is a better team, just like Carolina with Dalton was a real football team. We'll get to them. So again, you go to Minshew, you get Richardson out of there, you get a real quarterback in, and they look pretty good, Indy, actually. I thought with Richardson they're in big trouble, but they're not. Green Bay, New Orleans. Now, this is the strangest game of the day. Green Bay's favored by 2, 1.5. Then all of a sudden, New Orleans goes to 1.5 point favorites Sunday. Over under 41.5. I go over 35.5. I can't believe I lost. Now, there's two things that confuse me. It's 17-3. Green Bay scores. Why would you go for 2? Right? We're getting killed by these bad coaches. Why would you go for 2? It's 17-3. If I miss, it's now 17-9, and now I need the 2-pointer to tie. If I just kicked my extra point, I get another touchdown, I kick the extra point. So this game should have been 17-17, 34, but then there's going to be a field goal to win at 37. I win my over. The second thing is, at the end of the game, New Orleans lines up for a 40-yard field goal, and the guy misses it. I go, okay, I'm going to win. I'll hit the field goal, and I'll get to 38, and I need 35 or 36. And he misses the kick. Was it on purpose or not? Now, here's where everybody thinks the games are fixed. Green Bay was a 1.5 point favorite, went to New Orleans 1.5. That means a lot of money went on New Orleans. If the guy makes the kick, there's a lot of lost money. So the motive is there for him to miss the kick. Absolutely. Because all the money that went on it to change the line had to be a lot of money. That was a 3-point move. Why didn't it go to half or even, right? So how much money went on New Orleans to get it to 1.5? So he hits the field goal, they cover. That's all I can say. If we critical think, which is what I'm going to talk about today, if we critical think it through, it makes perfect sense. He missed on purpose. So they didn't, because they couldn't win the game because all the money went on New Orleans late. I mean, if we want to follow this road, if we want to do a government, a Madoff, a Wall Street, it makes perfect sense. Total fixing, misses an easy kick, made it close, but missed it. Now, so what happens in the game? Carr starts 17-0, gets hurt. Winston comes in, looks like shit. Terrible quarterback. All I'm thinking is, you could have Hartman, you could have Penix, you could have Bo Nix. They're all 100 times better than Winston. So New Orleans doesn't score anymore with Winston. Green Bay gets what should have been 17. So it should have been 17-17 overtime, and then we get our win there. Love looks like shit, gets nothing, then gets a lucky. I think there was a touchdown that got tipped or something. It was all lucky. He doesn't look very good. Is New Orleans this defense this good? I don't think so. Green Bay has somewhat of a defense. But again, Adam Jones doesn't play, and we can see without Adam Jones, this is not the same offense. And Love only gets credit because Adam Jones took 2 long passes for 70 yards. So he gets a 50-yarder and another 40-yarder. So he gets 90 yards on a little swing pass that he once a touchdown, one got him to the 5. So Love gets credit for that, but it was all Adam Jones, who is now with the hamstring. So we'll see when he comes back. So Green Bay doesn't show me anything offensively. New Orleans doesn't show me anything. Now, New Orleans will get Kamara back next week. It's supposed to be, it says week 4, which that is. So if with Kamara, unfortunately, they lost the Lions running back, who I don't know, Williams or something. So losing him doesn't help with Kamara out, but we'll see a whole new, Winston sucks. They wish they had Jake Haener, but he's out for a few weeks for some reason. He's ready week 7. Jake Haener would have won the game. So I don't know. That was the only other game I lost, and I should never have lost it. Between going for 2 when you're down 17 to 9, which makes 0 sense, because if you miss the 2-pointer, now you need a 2-pointer to tie, but just kick your fucking extra points and you're tied and you go into overtime. What's wrong with that? New Orleans couldn't, Carr was out. They're not scoring on you. So that's what should have happened. It should have ended either 1918 or 2018 or 2017, but it should have got more points. So I was a little disappointed losing that. Why did I like the over? Again, it's Green Bay scoring points, but again, here's where you got a critical thing. The critical thinking is, they put up a lot on the Bears, big deal, and then they struggled with Atlanta, but it was still a 50-point game with Atlanta, and I thought, well, that's what we're getting here with New Orleans. New Orleans keeps playing these low-scoring games. New England and the Jets, New England minus 2.5, 35.5, Jones against Wilson. My score, the Jets 20-13, the final 15-10. Basically, I have the total 33. It was 35. There's 25. But I have the Jets in 8.5, which wins. They lose 15-10, which I don't care about. I got the 8.5. That's what I care about. So the Jets again cover. I'm surprised they lost to New England. Wilson's struggling a little bit, which makes them they're like Utah. They're the perfect under team. They got a kind of a weak quarterback and a great defense. All right. Denver, Miami was the free play, was also my lock with the Dallas under 47. All I needed was over 41, which I think at half it was 35-10. I already won it. That's the beauty of over-unders. I mean, once they go over and you bet it over, the whole second half I could kick back. I had a 37-30 game, a 67. It's 70-20, mostly because they were just handing the ball off and Denver couldn't tackle anybody. So how bad is Denver's defense? Is it really this bad? And keep in mind, Miami, this is college, pro. They're not trying to run the score up. They're just handing the ball off, and these guys are running for 250 yards and 5 touchdowns, just taking, just handoffs. So anyway, Miami is an over team. They will score a lot, and they have no defense, and we know that, so we're fine with it. Denver appears to have a little bit more offense and apparently no defense. There's a lot of injuries, but still, There's not that many. So Sean Payton is always the offensive whiz. There's got to be like, what do we now? There's a lot of injuries on defense. So what does he do? But he's getting the offense working. I mean, they did put up 20 points here. So Denver's definitely an over team, but they got to fix the defense. Houston, Jacksonville, another surprise. Stroud against Lawrence. I got 27-14, Jacksonville 41. It ends up 37-17 of 44. So I'm pretty good at my totals. I didn't play it. I told you I don't trust Lawrence. He puts up 17 against Houston. Seriously. And they put up 37. What the fuck's going on in that game? I mean, Houston, I think, is a Z team. They're a terrible team, but I'm telling you, I don't like Jacksonville. I don't like Trevor Lawrence. So I didn't see the box score. Well, I think I quickly looked at the box score. But this is the problem with Trevor Lawrence. The game here, how does he only score 17 points? And then what led to Houston getting 37? How many pick sixes and how many punt returns were there? I'm too curious. Let's go. Let's critically think this box score. So if you go into Yahoo, you can see the games. Then if you click on the game, you can see the box score. So Jacksonville doesn't even score in the first half. How the fuck does that happen? So let's look at the numbers. C.J. Stroud, 20 of 30 for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not bad. Trevor Lawrence, 27 of 40, 279 yards, only 1 touchdown and 1 interception. All right, something smells here. What's going on? Rushing, Houston, nothing. Singletary, 41 yards, Pierce, 31 yards, nothing. Jacksonville, Etning, 19 of 88. All right, how does the score possibly get this score? Pierce, 1 yard touchdown for Jacksonville. Stroud passes to Jordan, a 4-yard touchdown. Fairburn, so it's 17-0, kicks a field goal at half. Bigsby rushes for 1 yard for Jacksonville. Brandon McMahon is 17-10. Andrew Beck fumbled Jackson. So Houston runs the kickoff back. It's a terrible description because that's not what happened. And it's not Jacksonville. They make it look like Jacksonville scored. It was the guy runs the kickoff back. So they score. Brandon Harris kicks the field goal 17-10. They run the kickoff back 24-10 is what they're trying to say. Another field goal 27-10. Lawrence gets a late touchdown 27-17. C.J. Stroud hits a 68-yarder. 34, and then another field goal. So what's going on in this game? Because you don't score that many points. There's a lot of field goals. Hi, Icy. He's not even mediocre. He's terrible. So let's go through it. We've got a punt, Jacksonville, field goal miss, touchdown, Houston. A punt by Jacksonville. A punt by Houston, a field goal miss. So that's the second field goal miss for Jacksonville. Then a touchdown, Houston, then a punt, and then Jacksonville fumbles. And then this is just before the half, and it gives Houston the field goal with 3 seconds left. And Jacksonville touchdowns, Jacksonville field goal. Trevor Lawrence throws his interception, which leads to a field goal by Houston, then a touchdown, then a turnover on downs, which leads to a field goal. So if we look at Jacksonville, turnover on downs against fucking Houston. Oh, I got to see this play. 4th and 28. What are you doing? How did that happen? Trevor Lawrence, incomplete pass to the left. Jacksonville committed 19-yard penalty, intentional grounding. What the fuck's Lawrence doing? Lawrence cannot read the blitz, and he can't read anything. So instead of getting rid of the ball like Tom Brady or Rodgers do in 2 seconds, or Drew Brees, you go back to pass, you should know what's there, and you dump it. This is the problem with these idiots. Him, Lamar, all these guys that are idiots, Fields, they don't know where they're going when they get to the line of scrimmage. What did Tom Brady know? Oh, they're blitzing. I'm going to hit Wesley Welker. Wesley, you cut your route out and go 2 yards in front. I'm going to throw it to you as soon as I get the ball. Do these guys do that? Apparently not. So here comes the blitz. What does he do? He runs around and he loses 19 yards and then just throws the ball into the crowd. They call that 2nd and 9. So this is all happening at the Houston 38. So they've got 1st and 10 at the Houston 38. Trevor Lawrence rushed to the right for the 1-yard gain. What the fuck is he doing? Then they probably went back to pass and it wasn't there. Then on 2nd and 9, incomplete pass. And now it's 3rd and 9. 3rd and 9 at the Houston 37. He takes a 19-yard penalty for intentional grounding. So obviously he ran backwards, not understanding the concept that he's a quarterback. See, this is why I get on these guys, because they're fucking idiots. So how does that happen that you get a 19-yard? Don't you understand when you get to the line, you got to get rid of the ball quickly? Unbelievable. So then you had an interception in the 3rd quarter. Hello? Third and 7 at the Jacksonville 38. Trevor Lawrence pass intercepted down the middle, throw down the middle late. Blake Cashman intercepted for no gain. See, again, this guy kills you. How can you bet on this guy? He loses to fucking Houston, who's terrible. The only way Houston can beat you is if you do an interception, a fumble, a field goal miss, a field goal miss. And they call themselves professional football players. I mean, San Diego should be embarrassed to lose to this team with the 27-0 lead, but you've got to be kidding. So now the question comes, well, how does Jacksonville play this week? Well, they go to London. They've got that 9 a.m. London game. Good fucking luck there. They play Atlanta in London. Good luck. All right, so let's go back. So now we get to Buffalo at Washington. I nailed this one. I love Buffalo, and I love the over. I play the over. I got 31-17 Buffalo off of what I saw Washington do to Denver. I thought, oh, maybe Thurston Howell's not that bad. 37-3. I get 40. I only needed 37. The over-under was 43. I win the over, all because of Buffalo. Obviously, the Buffalo play even. The spread was really screwy. I mean, Buffalo should not only be favored by 5.5, 6 points here. Howell throws 4 interceptions. How bad is the Denver? See, this is what I'm saying on critical thinking. You see them, Washington, Denver, 35-33, and you go, oh, yeah, maybe Howell's a good quarterback. But no. Then you see the Miami game. You realize Denver must have the worst defense in college football. Forget pro football. I mean, how bad is this defense? You give up 35 points to Thurston Howell and the Redskins, who only get 3 against Buffalo, who doesn't have a great defense. Okay, it's not this good. So Buffalo wins 37-3 and the over. So I'm in good shape. Carolina, Seattle. Initially, I have 27-17, and then here comes Andy Dalton to play, and I get a little bit nervous going, now they got a real quarterback, and they play a 37-27 game. So it got a little bit more scoring. I 27-17. It was 27-10. When I hear Dalton, I go to 17. Seattle puts up 37. Carolina supposedly had a decent defense, but as I said, Seattle's waking up. They lit up the Lions. This is the type of team that'll beat the Lions. Minnesota, San Diego. The Lions have to play. They played KC. They got to play San Diego, Denver, and Oakland. That Denver game should be a 100-point game because Denver will score on them with Russell Wilson. That's not a quarterback the Lions like. And then it gets Oakland. They're so bad, I don't know. So we have Seattle picked with Young. With Dalton, it was a little more questionable. But I did like them against Vince Young. I knew he's terrible. So the question is, what the fuck's going on with the coaches? Minshew's 100 times better than Richardson. Dalton is 100 times better than Young. Why aren't they playing him? So they wait for the injuries and then they play him. Now let's see how quickly they get off of him. But Andy Dalton should be the starter from day one here. I can't believe New Orleans let him go for Carr. And Minshew, why would you start Richardson over Minshew? That makes no fucking sense. So I don't know what the hell is going on with these coaches. Let's play the rookie quarterbacks that weren't good in college. They're going to light it up in the pros. And all you got is Richardson running around like an idiot. And we will see. Next game, KC Chicago. I got KC here. This was the pick I gave the guy in his pool that you pick with no line. And I said to him after, I said, we might have won it right now because I'm sure a lot of people had Dallas. I mean, it's even, right? And you advance until you pick a loser. I says, we have KC because I'm betting against Chicago's defense with Mahomes. I'm sure everybody took Dallas and it lost. So there's probably like us and 5 other people in the pool left. So we've got KC. I got 31-17. They win 41-10. I can't play it over because the Bears aren't over anymore. Last year Fields would run and score a lot. That was it. They had no running. They had no passing. It was all Fields. This year he's not doing it. So I only get 10 points from the Bears, so I can't really go over. It was 48. So they played a 51, which isn't really that much over the 48 because the Bears aren't going to score. KC gets a little bit more. I think there's a turnover. So 31-17, 41-10. I feel pretty good there. Dallas, Arizona is my other lock. I lock it under 43.5, which is 49.5. It ends 28-16 Arizona. So it ends 44. Dallas has the ball at the 7-yard line with 3 minutes left, and then my boy Dak Prescott throws an interception. And then Arizona runs the clock out. I loved it. Way to go, Dak. Let's look at Dak's day yesterday. How many did he have? His 3 interceptions? Do you guys think I'm joking when I say he's going to give you 3 interceptions? Game's on the line. What does he do? I don't know. Could they have won? Well, if they go 28-23, they can onside kick. Who knows? How many interceptions did Dak throw? Dak Prescott, 25 of 40 for 249. Oh, only 1 interception. Dobbs, 17 of 21, 189 yards and a touchdown. Pollard runs for 122. And Connor for Arizona runs 14 times for 98. Dobbs runs 6 times for 55. But he's using Cobb. And then passing the ball, Mike Wilson, 2 catches, 86. Mike Brown, 5 catches, 61. So what happened here Prater kicks a field goal. Connor 5-yard run. It's 9-0. Why would they go for 2? Why did you just give up a point? So they go for 2, they don't get it. See, I love how the coaches think if they go for 2, they're going to get it, right? It's extremely hard to get, right? So why would you give up a point? It's 9, go 10-0. Where are you trying to get to 11 for? And Dallas kicks a field goal. It's 9-3. Rondale Moore, 45-yard touchdown. I think it was just a run up the middle. 2-point attempt failed again. So now instead of 17-3, you're fucking around with 2-point conversions, but you just missed 2 of them. It's 15-3. You're up 12. You should be up 14. Easy. You've got the score. That's the hard part. Then Prescott hits Rico Dowell, whoever the fuck that is, kicks the extra point, 15-10. Now Prater kicks a 43-yard field goal. They're 18-10. Should be 20-10. See, now if Dallas gets the touchdown 2-point conversion, it's all tied up because Arizona's fucking around, going for 2 twice instead of just kicking your extra points. This is what they don't get. They think 4th downs are automatic they're going to get, and 2-point conversions are automatic going to get. What a bunch of fucking morons. Now Prater kicks a 62-yard field goal to end the half, 21-10. Dallas, the whole third quarter, kicks 1 field goal, 21-13. Why are they kicking a field goal, Dak? Where's your wonderful judgment? Why isn't Will Grier in there? Why isn't Deuce Vaughn from Kansas State in there? What's wrong with the coaches? They got their head up their ass here too. Why do you still have Prescott in the game? Then we kick another field goal with 9 minutes left. It's 21-16. Again, where's the touchdowns? This is fucking Arizona. Arizona is it's an E team. But again, who they played? They beat, I guess, the Giants. Then Joshua Dobbs throws. It's now 28-16. Now they kick the extra point, and that's it. And Dallas got back down to the 7 and then to the interception. So this is the problem. It's like Lawrence. Why are you kicking all these field goals? Why is Dallas kicking field goals against Arizona in the first place? I think Budda Baker was out even for Arizona. What are you doing? What's the play calling that you're kicking 20-yard field goals against fucking Arizona? I don't care. My lock was under. I won it. But this is why I get after these quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence, Lamar, Prescott. These guys suck. They can't read defenses, clearly. They're making Arizona look good, who's not good. Last game, Pitt, Oakland. I got Pitt 17-13. Pitt wins 23-18. Beautiful. Pitt's a W team, but Oakland is a Z team, and you never bet on a Z team when they're favored. So that was an easy one to take Pitt because Oakland's laying 3 as the Z. So the sharp money is going on Oakland. I love this sharp bullshit. The spread was 2, goes to 3, which means the sharps bet on Oakland and all lost because they don't understand what a Z team is in a W. This is the same team that lost to Buffalo 38-10. Now they lose here 23-18. I didn't see any of it. I was watching other movies, and I was updating my football stuff, my college. So I have under 43. It's a 41. It stays under. Beautiful. Now we get to tonight's game. Hurts and Mayfield. Why there's 2 Monday night games, I have no idea. There's not next week, but you have the London game. We'll get into that. We'll do the look ahead. Philadelphia, I have a 7-point favorite. The line comes out. They're 5.5 down to 4.5. I got 24-20 Philly. They're over under a 45. Should be right around there. I don't know who Tampa is. They're a B team with a decent defense, but they played nobody, right? I think what, Carolina and Chicago or something like, no, Minnesota. I think they beat Minnesota and then Carolina. Minnesota 20-17 or something like that. So Philly's a very good road favorite, so I like Philly here. There's the teaser trend on them, which says if they're on the road and the favorite, they're real strong. And now we come to Cincinnati, 3-44.5. Cincinnati's a W team based on the stats now until Joe Burrow gets healthy. Now I saw the spread at 1.5 this morning, and now I see it at 3. The 1.5 means Burrow's out, but then the 3 means Burrow's playing. Cincinnati's off of 2 losses in a row and a must-win game, but they're playing the Rams with Stafford, and they're playing pretty good. I don't know what to say here. This is if they were playing a weak team, I would be all over Cincinnati. But against the Rams, I think the Rams are better. They're a B team to a W. I have 21-20 the Rams, as if Burrow is playing, because they're not playing well. The over-under 44.5, I like it over in a teaser. LA's a B team, so they got a good defense with Aaron Donald, we know. And Cincinnati's a W team, means their offense sucks, as it does, and their defense isn't that good. So you got a team that sucks offensively because Burrows with the calf has a problem, and they're favored. So I like the Rams getting the 9 here, the 8, the 7, whatever it is, over a touchdown. Definitely like the Rams here. I think they're the better team at this point. Now, overall, I think Cincinnati's the better team once we get Joe Burrow healthy. Now, he got a calf muscle. This does not take a month. So I don't know what the fuck's going on with Joe Burrow. I don't think it's a normal calf injury. So that is the week we just played. Let's see, injuries. In the Minnesota game, Jefferson got hurt real late in the game. He was limping. We got to check his status for this week. Again, Indy, we got to see if Minshew – it's a whole different team. If Minshew plays, they have a very good chance of winning. Baltimore, what can you say? You got Lamar. Wow, is he bad? I can't believe they paid him like $250 million. Like, are they out of their fucking minds? So we're going to have to pay him back. What, they're gonna bail out Baltimore for making such a stupid move? Especially with all the quarterbacks coming up. I mean, what if they get Rising, Van Dyke, or Hartman? I mean, all of them are 100 times better than Lamar. They're stuck with Lamar with the nobody wants that contract for this bum. New Orleans, Green Bay. Now we're supposed to get Kamara back, and Carr hurt his shoulder. We'll see how serious. Green Bay, Love's okay, but we're waiting on Andrew Jones to come back, or Andy Jones, or whatever his name is. Again, with the hamstring. Nobody gets a hamstring pull because they don't play preseason. Meanwhile, half the league's out with hamstring pulls. So that'll be interesting if he plays against the Lions. Nothing New England and the Jets. Denver needs to get their defense back. There's a lot of injuries on it. Not that that's an excuse, but that is the problem. Houston, C.J. Stroud did play. Trevor Lawrence needs to find a different sport. Buffalo, Allen against Thurston Howell III. Now we're puzzled. He looks good against Denver, and then this is his 4 interceptions against Buffalo is what I always thought he was, a bum. So This is where it gets dicey, is what do you do with him? Because is he terrible or is he good? Is Denver or is it Buffalo? Which is he? So this is why you really got to critical think. You've got to understand who did he do good against and who did he do bad against and who are they playing. So we'll get into that in a minute. Carolina, is it Dalton? If it's Dalton, they got a chance to win anything. Seattle looks like they're for real. Carolina had a pretty good defense. So here, Seattle's finally looking like Seattle we thought. Chicago, I don't think if they played in the Big Ten, they could go to 500 there. I don't think they could beat Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Penn State. I mean, they're terrible. And I think a lot of it is Fields. I don't think Fields has a fucking clue. Let me get my water. So I should market this. This has lemons. You can see the ginger and cinnamon on the bottom, and lemons and honey. We could sell this with no aspartame and no sugar in it. A little bit of honey, but it's not sugar, right? It's healthy. It's healthy sugar. And there's such a little bit amount in there. But we could sell it as no sugar, no aspartame, the only real drink you could have and live through it. So now I just fold it. Like before I'd go get a Diet Coke or something. Now it's like, no, I got water. I got like sweet water at home, cinnamon and ginger and the lemon. Really healthy. Like I said, Chicago could be the worst team. Kansas City, again, did they really wake up or they just played the Bears 41-10? It was 41-0. And then, yeah. So I had it 31-17. But Kansas City hadn't scored. So do you realize Jacksonville lost 37-17 to fucking Houston and played Kansas City 17-9? This is what my problem is. I bet that over KC and Jacksonville. Jacksonville plays Indy 31-21, and now they play Houston 37-17. How the fuck does the Kansas City game go 17-9? I'm telling you, I'm scratching my head. I'm smelling Madoff all over the place here. I don't know how legit these games are. I see the week before all these terrible teams going over. Now I see the Giants playing a 30-12 game. They played a 80-point game with Arizona. Washington, I got under against fucking Denver. They play a 70-point game, and now it's 37-3 with Buffalo. Even this game barely goes over. 41-10 is 51, but the over-under was 48. They didn't beat it by a lot. Dallas does stay under, but it not the way I thought. I'm picking 38-0, and it's 28-16. Now, we think Joshua Dobbs is terrible. Based on that playoff game, he sucked. He didn't do anything on Pittsburgh for 5 years. Where is this coming from? Although I do know he's running, like he's getting he goes back to pass and he's running. So it's not really him lighting it up, throwing. He's more of like a running, more of the running quarterback type, almost like a Richardson, where he's not He's not lighting it up throwing. He's lighting it up running. Well, I don't know if anybody's prepared for him. He sucks. So we'll see. This score shocks me, as it did everybody else. Pitt I have 17-13, 23-18. Perfect. Had them winning by 4. They win by 5. So I feel good that my sight's back. And I emailed out, we won't have another losing week, which we won't. Because now I'm locked into especially college, to the teams, right? So let's look at next week, week number 4. See, I switched colors from blue to green and won, so now I'm on green. But I'm not superstitious. Yeah, bullshit, I'm not. Anybody that gambles is superstitious, because if you do something and you win and then you change and you lose, you immediately think it's the clothes, it's my shoes, it's, wait a minute, there's something that caused me to lose. It's not me. God forbid I lost. Can't be me. So we're going to go through this with my line, and then we're going to pull the line and see what the real line is. Green Bay, Detroit on Thursday night. I got Green Bay by 3. In my mind, I'm saying play the dog. In my mind, I'm saying it's an under game without knowing what the spread is yet. Why do I say that? Because Green Bay, we see what they had trouble with New Orleans. We see what the Lions are if you don't have a big passing attack, which Green Bay doesn't. Green Bay will be very similar to Atlanta. It should be a low-scoring game. Now we'll get the over-under. And that's what causes a lock. If I think this is a low-scoring game, the over-under comes out at 46, I'm locking it under 52. That's how it happened. You have to be here first. Then you get the line, and then you go, okay. Next game is in London. I got Atlanta minus 3 over Jacksonville. They just fucking lost to Houston. Who can they beat? They just lost to the worst team in the league next to the Bears. I got Atlanta minus 3, and I really don't have an over-under yet. That'll probably be based on that. Atlanta, I don't know. They beat Green Bay 25-24 and then laid an egg against the Lions. So I don't know. Now they got to go to London. I don't know why anybody would go to London. I don't know why they go to London. I don't really get the London thing. Do you think these people in Europe aren't fans already? Like, let's say you're in Alabama, right? And they don't have a pro team. Do you think they don't watch? Why don't they have a game in Alabama? And why go to London? So you think, what, now all the Europeans are going to watch football? You don't think they already watch now? And they're all into soccer anyway, so I really don't get this. I get it's a money thing, so perhaps the TV is paying them a lot of money. I think it's on the NFL Network, so they get this game. Now it's becoming a money issue, but I don't know. In my mind, I am not buying the NFL Network to watch this game. I'm not buying Peacock to watch Michigan and East Carolina or the shit that they put on. I don't need to. There's 3 games on at noon. There's 3 games at 3:30. There's 3 games at 7:30 on a Saturday. I'll watch that. I'm perfectly happy watching the UCLA Utah game. I didn't need to watch Michigan and Temple. You don't watch because it's Michigan. You watch the best game. And Utah UCLA was a great game. And I'll tell you that Utah defense is unbelievable. UCLA is having a lot of trouble getting a first down. But that's our college talk. I got Buffalo 7 over Miami and an over game. I already know Miami's an over team. They score a lot and they have no defense. Buffalo will score a ton on them. And Buffalo has a decent defense. Not as good once they get back Von Miller, but they don't have Von Miller. They won't put pressure on Tagliavua. This should be a really high-scoring game. Now, if they give me something in the 40s, we lock it. I can get a 41 or 42 as a lock because you're going to see what you've been seeing with Miami, 60, 70-point games. Denver 7 over the Bears. Not that Denver's any good, but the Bears are terrible. It's in Chicago. Probably an over because I think Chicago can even score on Denver. Denver has such a bad defense, as does the Bears. So this is like two Z teams going at it. Neither team. Russell Wilson gives you the edge, and then there's no real Fields might run around, but there's no defense in the game. The Bears organization is worse than the Lions. They're the worst. They can't even spot talent, and then you can't pay this for Fields, and you trade for a wide receiver. You have no defense. You have Fields who can't hit the broadside of a barn. You're content with Fields. You get him a wide receiver. You should have traded Fields, and you should have traded the one for defense. And then you had the draft pick should have been the guy out of Georgia. You needed defensive players, and you get Rondale Moore, who is good, on a team like the Niners where they're stacked and they could use another receiver, but not on the Bears. And now with this defense, wow, it's pathetic. So I think this is an over. Russell Wilson, again, depending on what the totals are. So again, I got Denver laying 7. Cleveland, Baltimore. I got Cleveland laying 14. This is an under game. Cleveland's defense looks for real. They're killing everybody. Now, they played Pitt in Baltimore, not, in Cincinnati. They did handle Burrow, but beating they lost to Pitt 26-22, and then yesterday killing Tennessee was very impressive. So I like Cleveland's defense, 4-point favorites, probably leaning towards the under in this. Tennessee, 3 over Cincinnati is depending on Joe Burrow. I'm assuming he's still hurt, and even if he plays tonight and he plays next week, there's something wrong with his calf. Maybe it's a ligament that attaches or something, or Achilles, I don't know, but it's not a pulled calf muscle. It's far worse. So, again, I think it's an under because if Burrow's hurt, they're not, you should see their stats. They're way low, and Tennessee doesn't do much, so we will see. But I think Burrow will play tonight, but he's banged up. LA, 7 over Indy. Now it depends who the quarterback is. If Indy's starting Minshew, I like Indy, especially after the Rams playing Monday night, flying back to LA, flying back to Indy. Well, Indy's more in the middle than the East Coast. But I like the dog here. If I got the Rams -7, so I like Indy in 13. I don't like, depending on what it is. Now, they could make Indy favorite. I doubt it. They could make the Rams 3. I might like the Rams in 3. But right now, the Rams -7. New Orleans, 3 over Tampa. We got to see about Carr's condition, and now we got Kamara back. Fucking Winston looked terrible yesterday. So I just see this as an under. I don't see a lot of offense, and I see Winston, and I see Tampa. I don't see a whole lot of offense, and they're going to not look too good against Philly tonight. I think this is low scoring. And that's what New Orleans is doing. They're playing a lot of low scoring games. Washington, Philly. I got Philly 7, but I got a feeling it's going to be Philly 10. But again, they got to play tonight. Anywhere near 7-8, I love Philadelphia. Thurston Howell the third. Now we think we see what he really is. If anybody can pressure, it's Philadelphia. Look for this guy to have another slew of interceptions and probably a low-scoring game. Minnesota 7 over Carolina. Again, is it Andy Dalton or is it Vince Young or is it Steve Young? Which Young's going to be versus Minnesota? And how's Jefferson? He hobbled off. Is he okay? Without Jefferson, Minnesota doesn't have a chance. On the other hand, they could be Young, but Dalton at home, I like Carolina as a home dog if I'm getting 7 because Minnesota doesn't win by a lot. Pitt and Houston, the good old 1978 game. I remember betting this game, Earl Campbell against my Steeler, Steel Curtain. I think it was 77 or 78. It was a Monday night in Houston, and I trapped the game and won. I think I had Houston in 8 because it was Earl Campbell, and then I played Pitt -2, or maybe it was the other way around, but I know I won both odds. I think Pitt won by 3, and I laid the 2 and got the 8, and I won. Here I got Pitt -3. Now this looked like Stroud was playing, so he is playing, so I think it's Stroud. I keep getting it mixed up. Yeah, Stroud's on Houston. So I don't think Stroud's going to do much against this Pittsburgh defense. This is like where you're trying to test it. Here we've got how's he going to do against Pittsburgh? I mean, how he did against Indy and Jacksonville doesn't. Here's a real team with a real defense, Pittsburgh. Now we'll see. They'll expose Stroud for what he is. Oakland, San Diego. I got San Diego lane 7. I love the game over. San Diego can score, has not a lot of defense. Oakland's, their offense sucks, but they should be able to put some points up on San Diego. And again, it's probably the dog because San Diego, every game is the dog. Dallas 7 over New England. So now Dallas comes down to earth. Are they this good or this bad? We don't know. I don't think they were as good. You know, it's kind of diluted. They beat the Giants 40-0. Then they beat the Jets without Aaron Rodgers, which would have been a great game. They really get a good look at both teams. So they win, but they kick a lot of field goals against the Jets. Now here comes New England. They should handle New England because Mac Jones sucks, but so does Prescott. So I got under here because with Dallas, I think I'm going to play them under every week. Great defense, and Prescott is perfect. Now, Arizona shoots their wad yesterday, beating Dallas as a home dog. Has to go to Frisco. Now Frisco will be ready for them, and they're in the same division. Frisco is laying 14. Well, in my world, they're laying 14. I like the game under, and I didn't choose Frisco. I didn't choose a side. I just chose an under. Now they'll see Dobbs run, and the Niners will be prepared for it. He's not going to light them up. Arizona held Dallas pretty good, so they'll probably, although I love Purdy. Purdy's so much better than Prescott. Hard for me I'm not going to take Arizona here, not against the Niners, but we'll see if we can get it low. But maybe it won't be 14 because Arizona beat Dallas. So I'm hoping for a smaller spread. That's what I'm guessing, but it should be an under unless it's in the 30s. KC and the Jets, very good game here. Strong defense against strong offense. If Rodgers was playing, I would have taken the Jets. Well, I take them every week anyway. But KC lane 7, playing good. This is a game I probably won't bet the under on. Hard to fuck on Kansas City, but I do think it will be an under. Zach Wilson just isn't scoring. Now, I don't know if it's the offensive coordinator or what, because with Rodgers, who knows if he didn't play. So it's not like they were scoring 30 a game when Wilson, now they're getting 10. We don't know. And last but not least, Monday night, Seattle and the Giants. I got Seattle -7 at New York. And nothing over under yet. I don't have all my stats in, except for what I could see yesterday. Okay, so let's go to the real line. So let's go to scoresandodds.com. And right now, Cincinnati is still 3 over the Rams and still 45. So let's go to week 4. And now we're going to go fill in the blanks. So this is Howard's line. In my field, now we'll go. Okay, we got Detroit 1.5, 45.5. How the fuck are the Lions favored at Green Bay? So I got Green Bay -3, right? And I'm looking at an under. So now I got a 45.5. It's definitely an under. Now here you get fucked if you're the money line guy. The money line guy, both of them are like negative. So if you play Green Bay, you lay 102. And if you play the Lions, you lay 116. Why would anybody play the money line? Here you got Detroit -1.5 or Green Bay +1.5. Oh my God, it's just insanity. All right, so we start. Then we've got Jacksonville -3. Oh, I love this. 43.5 at London. So it's a 9 a.m. game. Jacksonville's lane. I have Atlanta lane 3. Jacksonville's lane 3. Why is Jacksonville lane 3? They just got their ass kicked by Houston, and now they're going to London, and now they're favored. Jesus, good God. This is where I'm like rolling my eyes at Vegas that they're fucking clueless. How is Jacksonville favored? I'm not sure I understand Detroit being favored. See, this is where you try to get to that level and the critical thinking that you can come up with your own scores and your own lines. And then when Vegas comes out and they're all fucked up, you can go, oh, that's a bad line. I know my line's good. Okay. So let's get the lines first, then we'll talk. Cincinnati's favored. Where are they? Cincinnati. Okay. I got Tennessee -3 at home. Cincinnati's 1.5, 42.5. So what's going on with Burrow? Calf's, I don't think it's better. So this is almost like you can bet Tennessee in 7.5 right now, because Cincinnati could get injuries in the game. At best, they come out of it the same way they go into it. But I don't think they're going to beat the Rams tonight. Buffalo. Oh my God. Thank you, God. Buffalo -2.5. 53.5 to Miami. I got Buffalo -7. See, everybody's caught up in the Miami score, and I'm not. I know how Miami is on the road at Buffalo. They do not show up. Interesting. Pittsburgh 341. I had 3, so that number looks right against Houston. Philly 744.5. That's exactly what I had. 7, but I don't have the over-unders. 44, so I had Philly 7. The Rams 1.5. Oh my God. 45.5. I got the Rams -7. Wow. Now we got to see if anybody gets injured. But as of now, are you fucking kidding me? See, this is where the picks and the locks happen. I figure the Rams 7 over Indy. Indy has Richardson, who's out. Unless Minshew is playing, then yes, the spread makes more sense, but still a little bit low. Denver is actually favored over somebody. They're playing the Bears. I got Denver 7 here. They're 3.5, 46. So you got to love the over here because Denver can't stop a high school team. Neither can the Bears. Although I got into this trap betting against the quarterbacks in week 2, saying these quarterbacks suck, they won't get any points, and they did because they started running around. Here, what am I? Denver 3, 46 to the Bears. I don't know. They're both so bad. I think you could go over with it. Cleveland 2.5, 41.5. I have Cleveland by 4. So that they're 2.5, probably go 3, and then 41.5. I do like the under. Minnesota 3, 44.5. I had Minnesota by 7. Again, is Andy Dalton quarter. If Andy Dalton quarters this, so these spreads are Andy Dalton and Minshew, so they do make sense. New Orleans 2.5. I have 3, so same number, and 40.5. So that's about right. San Diego 4.5, 49.5. Now here I had them at 7. So I had San Diego 7 over Oakland. They're 4.5. So these are cheaper numbers. Okay. Dallas 7, 42.5. That's exactly what I had. 7, 42. San Francisco 14 is exactly what I had. I had Frisco by 14. They're 14, 43.5. I'll just call it 44. Interesting. Kansas City 9.5, 43. I had 7, so I'm going to call it 10 because I think that's where it's headed. And 43 to the Jets. That's a pretty big number there at New York, but that's where people will bet Mahomes. And oh my God, the Giants are favored. This could be the lock right here. 1.5, 46.5. So here's how you get a lock. My line, Seattle -7. Unbiased, just thinking about the game, going, Seattle, they're starting to score. The Giants are terrible. No Barkley. And they make the Giants 1.5-point favorites. I get a 7-point favorite with 7.5 in a teaser. That's a 14-point turnaround. And we know how strong Seattle is as a dog. Now, here's where our predicament is. Is this going to hold? By Friday, is this going to be 1.5, or is it going to be Seattle by 3? And that's where you bet as soon as possible, right? So what do I say? Well, I'd bet it right now. I would check injuries first. So you always got to check injuries. This is if you think everybody's healthy. In the Minnesota game, is Jefferson out? Who's quarterbacking Carolina and Jackson and Indianapolis? And are there any injuries in Seattle that would cause this to not be Seattle by 7? So this is where we're at. It's unbelievable. So this is how you do it. You basically, so you critically think. So what does that mean? That means you dive down. If something looks weird, you dive into it and understand why. So, the Rams 7 are only 1.5. Why? Stafford, as far as I know, they got to play the game today. But let's look at Minnesota. I got 7 and a 3. Excuse me. I'm assuming that I don't know what to assume. I assume Dalton should be the quarterback, but maybe they'll go with Steve Young. I don't know. That could be why the spread's only 3. But you must understand why things are, right? We do it with gold all the time. Why is gold low? And then we realize it's price fixed. Once we know it's paper price and not the physical price, as Egon said, then we fully understand what's going on. So you always want to understand things. So why is Detroit favored by 1.5? Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, they beat Atlanta. This is at Green Bay. They're not going to be as good on the road. They're not a very good team anyway. Green Bay looks like they're playing well. If Adam Jones is back, I love Green Bay getting points. If Adam Jones is back, he's got the hamstring. He's been out a month. That's why you play your players in preseason, folks. All right. College, I'm not going to do the same thing. Well, no, I already have lines for college. All right. So let's look at college. I'm just a bit tired, so bear with me. Tulsa, 3.5, 55. So these are the lines. I got to go through the teams. So I've already calculated what each team is. So then I'll have to write it here because I can't remember. There's too many teams. I know my Alabamas and Georgias are A teams, and Ohio State, Michigan, those teams. Yeah, I don't need that. It's where do you code Buffalo and Akron? Is one of them a Z team that we want to bet against? That's why I code it. Because there's a lot of money to be made when you find the Z teams and you bet against them. All right. Western Kentucky, 5.5, 60.5. Against Middle Tennessee. Sam Houston, somebody finally scored. Houston put up like 30 points against them. It was amazing. Jacksonville State, 6.5. And 36.5. Wow. So these are the new teams that you really get fucked over. You have no idea because they didn't even play Division I last year. Jacksonville State and Sam Houston. So it's just basically watch it. Watch and learn. Louisville, 3.5, 54.5. Wow, Louisville's favored. This game is at North Carolina State. I'm just shocked that Louisville's favored over NC State at NC State. Mr. Bo, how are you? Yeah, I stopped at the grocery store. I got a roast, so I won't have it tonight. I still got chicken, but I'll have it tomorrow or the next day. And I ran out of broccoli and lettuce, so for my salad. But yeah, I'm enjoying my chicken broth. So this isn't the general chow, but it's okay. And then we're going into the water business, Bobby Bo. So this has cinnamon, ginger. You can see the ginger on the bottom and the cinnamon on the bottom. And then some lemon and some honey in it. No sugar and no aspartame. It is a perfectly healthy and tasty water. Sell them for $2.99. We got to figure out our market. $2.99 for 12-ounce cans. But good for your kids for lunch, right? It's a roast that I put in the oven at 290 for 70 minutes. I don't know what's a pot roast or a rump roast. Are you saying what part? It's an English It's the English part of it. English cut roast. It's only $7.99, and it's 3 pounds. And I go, well, the hamburger was like $8. So in my mind, I could get 3 pounds of hamburger for $8 a pound, or I could get the roast for maybe $7.49. So I said 3 pounds versus 3 pounds, and I cook it all up at the same time, and then I put it in my omelets and I put it in my bread, and it's fine. Yeah, I'm eating chicken pita right now. Very good. Oh shit, that mixed in water. There's the ginger. So the ginger's on the bottom here. You can see the little gingers. There's a cinnamon stick. There's lemon and there's honey. No sugar, no aspartame. I don't need honey in it, but just a little, and it's not that much. I squeeze like 2 squeezes of honey out of the big container. So it's not a lot, but it gives a little flavor. But it's the ginger, the lemon, the cinnamon. Yeah, all 3 of those. And it's fucking good. And it's, instead of buying a Diet Coke or an orange juice, it's 100 times healthier. Everything's good about it. Cinnamon's very healthy. The lemon's very healthy. The ginger's very healthy. And even the honey's very healthy. Yeah. It's good. And that's why I put it. I go through this in like a day. I almost just drink the whole glass at once. It's got good flavor. That's the problem drinking water. You have terrible, that's why you go get a pop. Like, okay, I got to have some flavor in it. But you put this in and you're gold. All right. So I am shocked Louisville is 3.5-point favorites over NC State. That's incredible. I mean, NC State's a good team, good defensive team. Louisville's a good team, but it's at NC State. I'm shocked by that. UTEP 1.5, 53.5. Against LTech. UTEP's not that good. I got to fill in my Z's and A's after. Oregon State with Ooglia Booglia at 2.5-point favorites and 45.5. I got Utah by 7. Now I want to show you this. Report. So you have an idea. And I showed this yesterday, but it's worth seeing. So we're talking Cam Rising. So in the Utah news, there's Cam Rising. His return to game action is based on the LA surgeon, not the coach, not the Utah medical staff at the university. This is what the fuck waiting on is the fucking surgeon for the LA Rams to say you can play, even though, is there enough pop-ups to come on? Even though he's practicing with no restrictions and the Utah doctor says he's fine. I don't understand this. Any thoughts from anybody about why the fuck they're waiting for the LA surgeon to say he can play versus the Utah medical staff and hospital, the university? Like at Michigan, would it be the U of M Medical Center that's on the campus that says he's okay? Or what? This is fucking ridiculous. And they're getting pissed off because he's practicing with no restrictions. He's fine. He's running around. He's ready to go, or he wouldn't be practicing. Okay. Bobby Bo, you should seek that to Lamar Jackson because that scrub cost me my NFL. Bobby, how much have we talked about how bad Lamar is? How could you trust Lamar? It's like trusting Trevor Lawrence. How could you trust either of them? By blowing yet another fourth quarter lead, then cannot even get it. Field goal range on it, losing to – no, Richardson was not the quarterback, though. It was You fucked yourself real bad there because it was Minshew who was the quarterback. So you didn't even have the right quarterback you're bitching out. It was Minshew for Indy. It was Dalton for Carolina, not Steve Young. And the only one that did play was Stroud, and he crushed. What did they crushed? Well, no, Houston crushed Jacksonville. So you had Minshew beating Lamar, and then you had Dalton playing a pretty good game with Seattle. Anyway, this is very interesting. So there's Cam Rising for you who don't know what he looks like. He's in the white. Pre-game, the Baylor game. So that's what he is. He's a superstar, and everybody's pissed that he can't get in the lineup because of the LA surgeon. And you're wondering if he can't get in until they play USC. And then after that game, he'll be ready to go. I don't know, but Utah is a top 3 team by a mile. It's Georgia. It was Notre Dame. They've fallen out. You got Utah, Georgia, Florida State, and now I guess Ohio State because they beat Notre Dame. And that I don't even know. Both of the teams suck. All right, so that's Cam Rising for you, everybody. Jay Bradley, Brew got some lemon and apple cider vinegar and leave the sucrose and honey alone. What's sucrose? Jay, what are you talking about? Brew got some lemon and apple cider vinegar. There's no sucrose in it. It's the only thing. The honey's fine. That's not an issue. But if you don't want honey in it, you got cinnamon, you got ginger, and you got lemon in it. It's very tasty. I meant sell that to Lamar as in the water so he can play better because he sucks. Well, I don't think the water is going to make him play any better. I think he sucks anyway. I've been telling you this for 5 years. He's not a quarterback. He's a running back. And if we convert the chess, he doesn't use his rooks and bishops, which is exactly what happened to him. When he needs to get in the field goal range, he doesn't know how to complete a pass. And they're not going to let him run in. He doesn't have time. So to win the game, he can't do it because he's not a quarterback. Nick, sounds like LA Surgeon has been betting against Utah. Well, he held them out in the UCLA game, and Utah still won. It wouldn't surprise me. They got USC coming up if he won't let them play there, but they're for real. They have such a strong defense. Bobby Bow, Jay, take that apple cider vinegar and go buy gold and silver. Yeah, there you go. Give him the rock bottom, Bobby. Oh, so you're right, but still Lamar had multiple opportunities in overtime where he just needed a field goal to win, and that bastard blew it. He's Lamar. What are you expecting? Bobby, you forgot LSU, Professor. They will win. Yeah, LSU lost to Florida State, Bobby. So Georgia, undefeated. Utah, so far undefeated. And Florida State beat your LSU team, so they got to be ranked ahead of them. So that leaves the 4th team, which was Notre Dame, which now goes to Ohio State. Notre Dame's defense came up huge. 4th and 1 at the 1, 4th and 1 at the 10. They stoned them. Problem is they had a 4th and 1 at the Ohio State 19, and they got stoned. We lost the over, and I go to my friend. I go, well, there was 4 4th and 1s deep in the opponent's territory that if we get them, that's 28 points. We're down there. We're at the 20, 10, and 1. That's 3 touchdowns added to the 31, and we got 52, and we only needed 48. We had the game picked right over. I can't help it if these coaches have their heads so far up their ass, they don't understand what to do on 4th and 1. Before you came on, I was just reading about the whole the New Orleans game yesterday. It's 17-0. It'll go 17-3. Green Bay scores, kick the extra point, go 17-10. And then they got another touchdown. They could have went 17-17 and go to overtime. No, they got to go for 2. And they happen to get lucky and make it. But if they don't make it, then they got to go for 2 and make it at the end of the game. When just kick your extra points, you got 17-17. I'm pissed because I had over 36 and they were sitting at 35. Now, tell me if this is fixed. Okay. 18-17, I think. What was it? 18-17. 30 seconds left. The money line moved from Green Bay -1.5 to New Orleans -1.5 before the games. So the sharps all bet on New Orleans, which means there was a lot of money on New Orleans to move the line 3 points. So if the kid kicks the field goal for New Orleans, they win 20-18. We win our over, and New Orleans wins, and the Sharps win, or whoever the fuck they are. And he misses the kick. Now, did he miss the kick by accident, or did he miss it on purpose? What do you think, Bobby Ball? Now, if they had Mr. Perfect as the field goal kicker, he'd have made it. That's why I like these wrestlers. They're much more accurate. So, was the New Orleans kicker? Did he miss on purpose? Because all the action went on New Orleans, and Vegas would have lost their ass. And then you got the Madoff guys and the margin call guys and the short guys. They all had New Orleans. All right. What do you think of Florida, Kentucky this week? I might take Florida as I like the value there. Teased and money line. You just stop with the money line. Thoughts on Oregon? Not a fan of Bo Nix, but that offense. Well, I don't know. They beat Primetime by 80 points. They got to play Washington. They got to play Oregon State and Washington State. If they win all those, I still think Utah's a better defensive team. So they got a lot of game. They beat Texas Tech 38-31. I mean, so again, don't get caught up on primetime. They're not that good, Colorado. All right, they had a good game against TCU because TCU didn't know what the fuck to do. They were sitting back. If you pressure them like Nebraska did, all of a sudden Colorado doesn't have it. So I don't care that they beat Colorado. We'll talk they play Washington soon, I think. They got USC or UCLA, I'm sure, and Oregon State and Washington State. We'll talk after those games. Right now, they're an explosive home team, as we know. But, again, at Texas Tech, it was 38-31. They almost lost. So they're not as strong on the road. Okay, so. All right, we got BYU 3 and 49.5. I have BYU 7, and they're only 3. We went over the pro lines, Bobby, and where I have the discrepancies. And the biggest one was I have Atlanta -3, and they got Jacksonville -3. How the fuck does that happen? And is Joe Burrow playing tonight? I see the line went down to 1.5. Now it's back to 3. I don't know. The other big line move that I see that we need to jump on real quick, I got Seattle -7 over the Giants Monday night. They got the Giants -1.5. There's no way that line's going to hold. This is why I bet on Mondays, right? When I see something like this, and I can get Seattle as a dog getting 7.5, and I just got to check injuries. And I got them -7. I got Seattle 7-point favorites over the Giants, and they make the Giants without Barkley the favorite. I got to bet that teaser. I got to get 7.5 in Seattle, like right now, right? That's why I bet early. That's the point. If I wait till Sunday or Monday and then Seattle's laying 3, I just passed on a golden opportunity. You like Cincy tonight? I don't know. Is Joe Burrow playing? It's all up to Burrow because their backs are against the wall. They're down 2-0. They're 0-2. I was going to say they're down 2 games. They're 0-2. They're at home. I honestly think the Rams win the game anyway because they got Aaron Donald and Stafford's playing well, and they played Frisco pretty well. And they're coming off a loss. They beat Seattle pretty good. I think the Rams and the points, even if Burrow plays, I don't think it's a calf injury, Bobby. I think it's an Achilles or something's wrong with Burrow's leg that is not a calf because a calf's 2 weeks. Well, you know this injury. You wouldn't still be limping with this, right? So, what do you think of Burrow? Florida, Kentucky. Well, let's when we get there. Minnesota, 12 and a half. Wow. Over Lou Lafayette. Wow. I got Minnesota -3. Whew. We need to be in Vegas. Houston, 4.5. Utah State. I'm sorry. Utah State, 4.5. Where the fuck are they? Okay. 4.5 over Connecticut, 51.5. All right, Bobby's game. Kentucky, 2.5, 46.5. I got Florida -7. And these guys are so off. This is I don't know what the hell Vegas is doing because I know I'm not off, right? I got Florida -7. What's Kentucky? They don't have a quarterback. Well, Larry's okay. Florida has Mertz, but they did beat Tennessee. I like Florida as a dog here, 8.5. That's if only Mahomes can play and win while injured. Well, Burrows can play while injured, but the way he looked the last 2 weeks, I mean, he got 90 yards against Cleveland, and last week they lost. Who the fuck did they lose to last week? Pittsburgh? No. Yeah. Tennessee? No. Week 2, Cincinnati. They lost to Baltimore 27-24. So they had a little bit more offense, but they lost to Lamar. So that's pretty bad when you lose to Lamar. So I don't know. They played better. Surprised they lost to Baltimore, but here I think the Rams. I think this game will be close. I like the dog. As a professor would say, they've been losing to high school teams. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Penn State, 25.5, 46 to Northwestern. I'll tell you, I like this game over very much right now. Northwestern threw the ball 50 times on Minnesota. I wondered how they scored so much. They fucked my under last week because Northwestern gets like 5 points a game. All of a sudden, they get 21 in the fourth quarter. They play a 37-34 game with Minnesota, it's always a 10-0 game. And I look at the box score, and this guy throws 50 times. What is this guy? Now, I know the coach is gone, right? They got the new coach, so he's obviously going to more passing at Northwestern. So Penn State's not at home. They came off an emotional win with Iowa. Look for them to be a little bit troubled on the road. Northwestern, I don't know that Penn State's defense is all that they're going to just shut out Northwestern. And it's 46. You go to 40. Penn State will probably get most of the 40 by themselves, but I think Northwestern can help them with 14 or 17. So I'm going to go over on that game. Jay Bradley, Bonilla, when the professor needs to look up something, step up and do it for him. Oh, Bobby, you're gonna have to send Brady in, I think, to Jay Bradley. Brady's gonna have to say something to him. All right, so I like Penn State and I like the over in that game. All right, here we go. USC against the primetime guy. Where's the line? Here it is. This is a noon kickoff. USC, I got minus 17, minus 21 and a half, 73 and a half. A little bit high, I think. Jesus Christ, 73. I would not play this game over because I don't believe Colorado's going to score in this game. They lit up 10 at TCU, so everybody thinks that Colorado is going to score 50. Then they scored 20 on Nebraska. Then they go play Colorado State to a 43-35 game. The only reason they get over 70 is it goes to overtime. Then they go to Oregon, and we see what they're really made out of. It was 42-0. Then they get a late touchdown. These teams are a little pissed at Colorado. USC, UCLA, Utah, Oregon, Washington are tired of hearing primetime. I was watching the game last night, or the game. No, I don't know. I was watching the 4:00 game. What was that? Kansas City and the Bears. I got, and they're prime times on a Buffalo, and I'm like, oh, this is the game of the year. USC doesn't want to hear that, so they're pissed off. There's this. It's going to be this. What is it? 21 and a half. Just lay the 21 and a half. USC is going to put up a 60. I mean, USC is going to kill them here. They weren't really focused for Arizona State because they were looking ahead, but and they know now you just put pressure on Prime Junior and he folds up. So, and if this Hunter guy is not playing, I don't know what his injury is. The game's over for Colorado. We know what they are. If you put pressure on them, they're done. They're not going to light up USC, even though they don't have that great defense. USC, I don't know. After watching that Oregon game where they didn't score, I mean, you're like, fuck me. So there's definitely a weakness on Colorado. All right. Tulane. Now, Tulane's quarterback is back. I was happy to see that. Bryn, I think's his name. I checked the box score. He had a good game. Tulane over UAB. UAB scored on my Georgia team last week. It was a very unusual week last week. Georgia didn't go under, and Iowa State didn't go under. It's like, what the fuck am I looking at here? Tulane 21 and a half. I don't know. I got to see how. I got to give UAB credit. They put 21 up on my Georgia team. So we will see. South Alabama and James Madison. James Madison 3.5, 52.5. I like James Madison. They're a good team. So South Alabama, but James Madison I've been winning with. A&M and Arkansas. Here you go, Bobby. A&M lane 7 and 55.5. That's what I had. A&M by 7. Arkansas. So now what do you think of our Jefferson? You lit up your LSU team, and they had to go, to overtime, 34-31? So how good's BYU? They made them look bad. And then BYU loses to fucking Kansas. They beat Arkansas. Arkansas loses to BYU and then nearly beats LSU. Good fucking Lord. So I think this is an 50. This is definitely an over, Bobby. A&M's got a good offense, and we know he's going to put up points on anybody except for maybe Alabama. I love this one. Clemson 6.5. If I can find them. I got Clemson laying 3. They're 6.5, 52 to Syracuse, who's really good this year. I like Syracuse in the points, 12.5, 52.5. I don't know if I go over or under. Clemson lost to Florida State. They had the lead, though. It was went to overtime. So they played a 62 with Florida State. You got Syracuse, who's really looking good this year. Clemson off of a loss, but it's an emotional game. I don't know that Clemson can get back up. They had an emotional home game with Florida State. They lose it in overtime. Now they got to go to Syracuse, and Syracuse will be very emotional. I think Syracuse in 12.5 is probably pretty good there because they're a real good team this year. Akron over my Buffalo team. I got Buffalo -10. They got Akron -2.5. 57. This is like candy from a baby this week. I thought Akron was the Z team. I'll have to double check that. I have my ratings on my spreadsheet. I haven't put it on the sheet yet. I'll have to do that when we're done, and we'll go over it again tomorrow. But I don't know if Akron, they were a Z last year. I'm not sure if they are. I don't think they're real good. Buffalo is a strong team, and they'll be a strong dog in this game for sure. Central and Eastern. Central's the one that just played Notre Dame tough. Well, kind of tough. They switched quarterbacks. This guy looks good. Central 7.5, 48.5. The rivalry is Western Michigan, not Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan's in Ann Arbor. Central's more in the middle of the state, where Western's kind of on the west side of the state, but they're the rival, Central and Western. So this is just a game. I got to see how the rankings are. This is why I do the rankings, so I can see if a Z team's playing. I know the MAC, I was looking at the stats, are all a bunch of unders, except for Toledo and one other one. None of them score. They're all like 10, 15 points a game. It's pathetic. Bobby, Jay with an attitude like that, when Bobby Bowe is giving you sound advice to go buy medals, you will end up getting Mayfield. No, it's Madoff. Okay, Madoff. I agree with your Florida pick, Professor. UK has not played anyone. We all know Vandy is not a real team. Well, Florida beat Tennessee. You got to give them credit. I like the coach. I'm not sold on Graham Mertz, but I just think the overall talent. I just think this is a take the dog game, I think, with Kentucky. Anyway, BC 3.5 over Virginia. I know for a fact Virginia's a Z team. 55.5. So I don't know if the BC's so bad, though. This is like two terrible teams. Miami of Ohio -15.5, 51 to Clark Kent State. Kent State's terrible. There's so many bad MAC teams. I don't know which ones. There's like 3 Z teams. I don't know which ones they are. California -11.5, 50 to Arizona State. Now I'm confused with Arizona State. All 3 of their quarterbacks are doubtful, but they all play. Cal, I see Ott. I think he did play the running back. He's the superstar running back. The quarterback sucks, but this guy runs like Barry Sanders. So he did play a little. They put up a big number with Washington. It was like 70-30 or something like that. So hard to say. Cal. Arizona State shot their load. They played USC at home, played a decent game. Now they got to go. They're out of the desert. And so we'll see if the running back plays. My boys, Georgia. I have -14, -15. I'm pretty damn close. Over under 46.5. Automatic. We're going under 52.5. To Auburn, who does not score a lot. Decent defense. Games at Auburn. A little emotion. It's just, you go with Georgia under. It's just normally a sure bet. Auburn doesn't score that much. So that's what we're looking for. Illinois and Purdue. We've got Purdue minus 1.5. That's low. 53.5. I have Purdue minus 7 at home. Illinois is not very good. Neither is Purdue. Maybe an over game. Michigan. I nailed that one. Minus 17, and it's minus 17. 40.5. Holy fuck. I think this is where you take Michigan and not the under. I don't know if Heinrich Himmler's still going to quarterback Nebraska. He's been quarterbacking. All of a sudden, they're winning by 20 and 30 points with him over the other guy, Sims. And Sims sucks. Sims sucked at Georgia Tech. He goes to Nebraska. He sucks there. I'll tell you, Nebraska can really scout quarterbacks. They turn down Burrow, and they pick up this idiot and the other idiot they picked up who can't play. Michigan 17 over Nebraska. This is a joke. I mean, the more I look at it, Michigan should roll here. And but 40 points is, you can't. How do you go under 46? Michigan, now Nebraska doesn't score that much, but I think Michigan just, 31 to 3, something like that. Maybe you can win the under 46, but I don't see how Nebraska can keep this game close. I mean, Michigan just runs it down your throat. You have to think on that one. Baylor UCF. Here we go. I got UCF by 10. Boy, I'm right on. UCF minus 11. 54. Remember, shaping the Baylor quarterbacks out till October. Their backup sucks. They don't get a lot of points. Plumlee, the UCF quarterback's out, suspended or whatever. So you're dealing with their backup, who's not too bad. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's okay. I don't know. I'll have to see. But Baylor, I hit the under with the Texas. That was one of my picks. Texas, Baylor under, because Texas has a really good defense. But I'll tell you who's got that good defense is fucking Oklahoma. They're like 8 or 9 a game, and they haven't really played anybody. But they played Cincinnati. It was like 20-6. I mean, it was a very low-scoring game. But Oklahoma, I think I'm going to play the Oklahoma-Texas game if it's anywhere near 50 under. I liked Oklahoma against Texas once we get that spread. That's in a couple of weeks. But, I mean, Texas has given up 15 a game, and Oklahoma's given up 8. This is a clear under game coming up. Bowling Green GT Georgia Tech is a very strong over team. I am by 17 here. They're 23.5. Wow. And 53.5. I got to see if Bowling Green's a Z, then this is a good Georgia Tech play. If they're not, then it's a good over, but I don't know. No, the only MAC team that can go over is Toledo, maybe Central. UMass and Arkansas State. I got Arkansas State minus 7. This game's even. Over under 55. Arkansas State's a Z team. They're terrible. UMass, we know, is terrible. Battle of the terribles. The question is, do we go under in this? I got to see how strong their offenses are. Here's an interesting one. Texas against. Oh my God, I nailed it. I got Texas minus 17. The spread's Texas minus 17. Over under of 62. Ooh, I like Kansas. It's a lot of points to give Kansas. They can score. They're playing really good ball. Texas, as we know, has got the strong defense. I don't know if they're going to just blow out Kansas. Over under a 62. I can't see that. That's way high. It's almost an under because Texas has an outstanding defense, and apparently Kansas. All right, they just played BYU, 37-28, something like that. So that was a 60-point game with BYU. But Texas's defense is, like I just said, very strong. 62. I go under 68. It's hard because it's Kansas, but we know Kansas is not going to score a lot in this game. But I don't know that Texas will either. This is a very interesting game I got to think about. Maryland. Where the fuck's Maryland? Here they go. Maryland, I got 10 is 14 and a half, 50 and a half to Indiana, who sucks. Maryland is no picnic either. Tagliavua throws like 5 interceptions a game also. He should have blown out Michigan State. They won like 31-9 or something, whatever that was. Maryland, I don't trust. It's like betting on Lamar, Bobby. Maryland. Where are they? 14 and a half. The Big Ten teams, these type of teams are much better at home than on the road. 14 and a half. Indiana, I don't know. I got to see how bad they are. Texas Tech and Houston, interesting game. We got Texas Tech by 7. The spread's 10 and 53 and a half, which should be an over game because it's Texas Tech. And Houston played Rice to an 80. So, yeah, this is a low over. Check for injuries. Marshall, minus 13 and a half, 46 and a half. To Old Dominion, this is an under game. Marshall's an under team. Very strong defense and very not a great offense. Old D doesn't do much. This is probably an under. Okay. Navy, 3.5. 52 and a half to South Florida. I got Navy by 10. South Florida is pretty bad. They look better because Alabama had the 8th string high school quarterback out there who didn't know what team color he was, but when they played. But Navy 3.5. I got to see what Navy's up to, but I think Navy's a good play there. Some more MAC action. Ball State and Western. This game is even. I got Ball State by 7 and 52 and a half. So I got to, again, put in my checks. Western's terrible. They have a terrible quarterback. That's probably why I like Ball State. But I got to see how strong Ball State is. Northern Illinois and Toledo. Okay. Toledo 13 and a half and 50 and a half. Northern Illinois is not that strong this year. They're not scoring a lot. Lombardi's got like 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. The quarterback from Michigan State who went to Northern Illinois. Toledo almost beat Illinois and then played another good game. I think they'll kill them here. 13 and a half is nothing. New Mexico, Wyoming. Where am I? They keep changing these times on me. All right, Wyoming, 14 and a half. I write this like Sunday, right? And they're all in the Laurel. And then by today, they switched the times around. And now I'm like, wait a minute, you're not next. But I don't want to wait till today to get it because I want to start analyzing. Wyoming, 14 and a half, 40 and a half. Wow, that's fucking low. New Mexico's an over team this year. I think this is an over 40. Wyoming, I don't know. They're not that strong. Boise and Memphis. Memphis 3.5, 60. The Boise, who's played okay. Memphis is pretty good. We'll see. Hawaii and Vegas. I picked that spread. Vegas minus 10, 60. Vegas is good this year. Hawaii, we know is an over team. They're starting to score, couldn't stop the win. So this 60 should go way over that. Missouri and Vanderbilt. Missouri's 13.5 and 56 to Vandy, who's pretty bad. Missouri's got a quarterback's pretty good cooks. They did beat Kansas State, which was shocking. We will see. Okay, Bobby, here you go. Bobby against Ole Miss. LSU laying 2.5, 64.5. I already have the over circled. I like the game over. Ole Miss, what the fuck did they do to me with Alabama? The end of the game, the guy's wide open. The quarterback overthrows the Ole Miss guy. Should have been 24-17. I got 13. I was a little bit pissed there. LSU 2.5 over Ole Miss. I mean, LSU should. Ole Miss, man, they had trouble just running plays against Alabama in the second half. LSU, I think it's all LSU here. Free money. Well, yeah, but it's money. We want gold. Can we bet gold on the games? You think we went to Vegas with an ounce of gold, we could bet it? But then they wouldn't know how to pay us back. And are they smart enough to have gold in the cages? So once the money goes out, then we'll go to Vegas and we'll have our silver and gold, and we'll be playing poker and blackjack and betting football with our silver and gold. We'll be the only ones in the casino. All the cash players won't be able to play. They don't have any money. We can bet Luke's entire Monster Silver bot. Yeah, he's got 500 ounces, I think, or something like that. Interesting game. Oregon, 26.5, 61.5 to Stanford, who sucks. Here's where the difference. If Oregon's at home, they win by 100. At Stanford, this used to be a real big game when Stanford was good, when Harbaugh was there. And even when he left a few years, this was a very good game. But not anymore. Stanford sucks. All right. Rice, 2.5 over East Carr, 50.5. I absolutely love Rice in this game. Rice has the quarterback, Daniels, started at USC, lost his job to Slovis, went to Georgia, lost his job to Stenson Benson. Now he's at Rice, and now he's actually got like 10 touchdowns and 2 picks. He actually looks like the quarterback that he was supposed to look like at USC. And he's on Rice, and they're lighting it up. So I like RICE, Rice. Yeah, Stanford need Andrew Luck back to even gain back any kind of. Well, that's the whole problem. When all the teams go bad, is they don't have a quarterback. That's why they're going to these running quarterbacks, because there's not enough passing quarterbacks out there. There's 132 teams. There's 25 good quarterbacks. I mean, we name about 10, and after that, we're like, I don't know about him, but that's why all the runners, because then they don't have to be quarterbacks. They can kind of run a little bit. And how hard is it to have a running quarterback? I mean, they're not hard to find, but you don't win with them because they can't. You've got to be able to pass, because eventually you play a real tough defense that's faster than your quarterback, like Georgia, and you can't beat Georgia with a running quarterback. Luck was the real deal. It's a shame he got hurt like he did. Okay, here we go. This could be the lock under. Oklahoma giving up 8 points a game against Iowa State giving up 10 points a game. Oklahoma minus 19, 48.5 over. I already have the under circled. Like, let's get the under. Let's bet it now. And of course, this is why you bet today the under, because by Thursday it's 46. By Saturday it's 44, and you lose 4 points in the equation. So to see this, more than likely it's going to go down. I don't even care about the Iowa State defense in this. It's the Oklahoma defense. They're giving up 8 points, but Oklahoma's not going to light up this Iowa State defense anyway. Nobody lights it up. Well, Oak State. How did Oak State score? I mean, they don't. They average 10 points a game. Oak State. They don't have a quarterback this year. So, this 48.5 is enough for anything in the 50s in an Iowa State game. You feel pretty good. All right, I was waiting for that one. Troy and Georgia State. I think you guys liked Georgia State last week. -1.5. 52.5 to Troy. Achilles is playing in that game, I think. And Helen will be there. She's the cheerleader. Georgia Southern -762 to Coastal. What is wrong with my Coastal Carolina except for the coach went to Liberty? This new coach doesn't know how to handle McCall. It sounds like Miami with Van Dyke last year. And Georgia Southern. Yeah, I don't know. I can take Coastal Carolina as a dog. They just don't have the offense. Texas State, 7.5, 62 to Southern Miss. Texas State's the explosive team. Southern Miss, I don't know. Here we go. Game of the day. Notre Dame. I got -10 is -5.5, 50.5 to Duke. And they just had a very emotional game with Ohio State. I would not be surprised if Duke gets the W here. Duke killed Clemson. It was 28-7. Duke's won every game by like 25 points. Not that they played terribly great teams, but Duke is a very good team. Good, strong defense. Notre Dame coming off this loss to Ohio State. I wish they had won. Then it would be an easy Duke win. See how quickly I drink this? Because it's got taste. A little bit of honey and cinnamon to give it enough sweetness that it tastes good. Professor, you still feeling good about the USC Colorado over? Where were you? I already brought that up. I'm still leaning towards taking it, but a bit traumatized after the Notre Dame Ohio State did to our over the past week. But USC is the best over team in all of football, so I got to take it. Well, my concern in that game is that now that they figured out Colorado, is Colorado going to give us any help? I mean, because if USC does the same thing, they get up 50-0, they're not going to complete it. And I don't know. And then that Hunter, their best player on Colorado, is injured. And they figured out Prime Jr., just blitz him, and the guy can't do anything. And USC's this is a game they think they could lose. So they're going to blitz him all day. Yeah, they look bad against Arizona State, but that's because they were looking ahead. And the way they're making Prime this big deal, these teams want to kill him. Oregon wanted to kill him. USC wants to kill him. Washington wants to kill him. Utah will shut him out. UCLA has a strong defense. Do you see that game? I mean, UCLA's defense was just as strong as Utah's defense. That should have been a lock under, but I kept with the fucking Rising thing. That's why I showed you the Rising. So until the fucking surgeon says he can play, he can't play. So if he can't play, then they're a great under team because they've got this killer defense. They got the Georgia defense, and they don't have an offense. It's a beautiful under. So, again, it's waiting on Rising. He keeps fucking me up where had I known Rising wasn't playing, I would have looked at it. It's a lock under without him. So it's been a frustrating year with Utah. Is Rising playing? Is he not? Sort of like how you and Luke give me the hammer on is gold. When's gold going up? When's silver going up? I love it. Well, at least you don't ask me, is it going up? You're just asking me when. So I'm doing something right. See, that's where you're being misled. USC is the best over team. If Arizona State can do it, gotta think Prime can find a way. That's where you're being fooled. And Arizona State did it with the high school core. Exactly. But USC was not up for the game. They played the game like it was a joke, like it was a practice, right? But this is a big TV game, and they're going to want to look good, and they're going to light them up, and they're going to be up 45-0, just like Oregon. And this is where the confusion comes in. I knew I was fucked when I saw 42-0 Oregon. I said, fuck, I'm fucked. Because they're not going to keep scoring. I need both. I need Colorado to score 20. I told you I thought it'd be 50-20 and I'd get my 70. And Oregon came in, just Colorado didn't help. Colorado looks shitty. When you pressure him, they can't handle it. They don't have the line. He doesn't know how to read, and he doesn't do little safety valves when the blitz comes. Like Tom Brady would see the blitz, and then Edelman would just run under, and he'd hit him. He'd go back 2 seconds, right? Remember Legion of Boom? They'd say they had 2 seconds to get to Brady, and he got the ball off. That's a quarterback that understands blitzing. Colorado does not understand blitzing. He doesn't get it. Oregon, how many times did Oregon sack him? That's the problem. USC will pressure him. And this is going to be an interesting game. Now, what we got? You got to get 73.5. Holy fuck. And we only needed 69 in Oregon, but here you're going to need now. Yes, the game's in Colorado, which helps. But I don't know. I got USC with 50 something. And the question is, what is Colorado? Are they going to help us or not? I don't know. They will, because they have been exposed. Nebraska held them to 29 or something. Fucking Nebraska. So I think if you pressure them, he ain't going to do shit. And that's what you're betting. Will USC do that? Professor, did you turn a profit every week? Oh, wait, let Bobby answer that. No, I didn't turn a profit every week. I am human. If you cut me, I bleed. No, I have not made money every week, but in the whole year, I normally at the end of the year, I'm profiting because I figure all this mess out. So early on, I struggle a little bit. Sometimes it doesn't matter. I still win those weeks, but now I have a better feel. So I gain the feel of the teams, and it changes every year. So I don't stay on a team from last year, this year. I find the new teams. Although Oregon and Washington are still there, Michigan and Georgia, I still know how to play, but sometimes you don't. So I don't win every week, but I do. By the end of the year, normally I'm up. All right. SMU 23.5, 55.5. SMU Charlotte. I got to see how bad Charlotte is. Interesting game here. Iowa, after this loss, laying 11.5, 36.5 to Michigan State, who absolutely sucks. The coach is fired for some sexual harassment thing. Maryland killed him. I don't see them scoring on Iowa. 11.5. See, here it says it opened at 7, but I never saw a 7. Well, this is the first line I'm seeing. At the Venetian, we could have got 7 yesterday. 36.5. So low even for Iowa. Tennessee, 11.5, 61.5. To South Carolina, who played Georgia fairly well for a half, then forgot they had to play a second half. Tennessee at home should rock them. We'll see. They lost to Florida. Didn't they kill somebody? Who did Tennessee kill this week? Yeah, they beat UTSA 45-14 after the Florida loss. See, that's when you bet them, Bobby, is you watch the team and then they lose, then you jump on them. Normally, I would be on Notre Dame this week, but they're playing fucking Duke. I don't want anything to do with it. I want Duke, actually. So who lost that you need to bet back on? We can quickly. Clemson. So Clemson's 5.5 over Syracuse. They lost to Florida State. So now it's, now they got to get up. But the problem is it was at home. It was an emotional game to Florida State. Same thing with Notre Dame. They were at home. It was an emotional game with Ohio State. It's very hard to get up like that 2 weeks in a row. It helps that they lost to get up. Had they won, they could never get up. I don't see Ohio State this week, I think. Do I? No, I don't. I haven't come to them yet. But I don't think they're on the board. But that's the problem. So Notre Dame expended so much energy that they will not have it this week. So they could lose to Duke very easily. And Duke's a very good team. TCU, 11.5, 51.5. To West Virginia. The key is the game's at TCU. West Virginia is very good at home. They beat Texas Tech pretty easily last week, but when they go to Texas, they always have trouble, and they're going to TCU, and they're going to have trouble here. TCU is finding their offense. Very good coach. Love the coach. The Air Force is where Bobby went to school. 10.5, 43.5. You got to love the Air Force there. 10.5. App State, UL Monroe. I nailed the line. I had 14. It's 13.5, 53.5. I like App State. App State's been strong. Lou Monroe's terrible. They had the one win over New Mexico, over Army. If they played now, Army would beat them by 30. Yes, after all the preseason, Texas Tech has went to completion. What preseason hype? Whoever thought Texas Tech? They never have a defense. They're never good. Pitt 3, 42.5. To Virginia Tech. Oh, this has got to be an under. V-Tech's low-scoring game. Alabama against Old Mississippi State. I got Alabama 17. The line is 15.5. I like my line better. And 48.5. I would imagine Alabama kills them with Milrose. Mississippi State doesn't look that good. And Alabama, keep in mind, teams like Alabama who have the one loss needs to win it out. So in one sense, they don't need to avenge it the next week. They're kind of avenging it every week. Teams with one loss in college, so UCLA will be on fire from now on. Alabama will be on fire. Teams with a loss, the loser of the Oklahoma, Texas will be on fire because they can't lose again, especially with the stupid playoff system. You can't even have two losses and make it. So look out for the loser. Washington, 17.5. This seems like a low line. 68.5. Arizona, I do like the Luka, their quarterback. overall they'd not been scoring. We got away with one where we had it over with Old Mississippi State, and they got over in overtime. Like we tied it at 24, and the over it was a 48. I think we needed 50 or 51. So once it did that, then we went to overtime, and somebody had to win. So then that got us over. Washington, this looks like a pretty good over. Washington, I'll tell you, is just they got that Fresno State coach. They're just so well coached. Fresno State, another, I hit that line 24, 53 and a half. Playing Nevada. Nevada's a Z team. How the fuck they stayed with Kansas? I mean, I'm losing my mind. I got the Z team Nevada. I got Kansas who can score, and they play a pretty close game. Then Nevada gets killed the following week. Kansas beats fucking BYU. Like, what the hell's going on? So, anyway, that should be a good game. Fresno State. Excuse me. I saw various YouTube channels and CFB analysis hyping up Tech, saying it may be their year finally. Who was doing it? Herb Kirkstreet? Just like Alabama's the best team. Oops, they lost. And we're losing to my Ole Miss 7-6 at halftime. Bama will only lose to LSU the rest of the year. Saban don't give up on seasons. Well, he might lose to Texas A&M because they got a really good offense. The play calling by Ole Miss, what the fuck were they doing? They're running jet sweeps on Alabama. Are you kidding me? Now, the coach, was the offensive coordinator for Alabama, would have known that shit doesn't work. Shut up. Would have known that shit doesn't work. So what is he doing? Then Dart's taking sacks. I didn't see a whole lot of screen passes. And then he misses my guy wide open in the end zone in the last 2 minutes. I'm about to win. They're 24-10. Guy's wide open. He was the slot receiver. The guy didn't cover him. So he's standing in the end zone, and Dart throws it over his head. And this is why I think this game might have been fixed, because the Ole Miss receiver gave him like the funniest look, like, what the fuck were you doing? So I don't know. There's a lot of fixing going on. I still think the New Orleans game was fixed. That had to be fixed. The kicker misses a 40-yard field goal, which gives New Orleans the win and the over the win. And the Sharps all bet New Orleans went from 1.5 to laying 1.5. That's a lot of money on New Orleans. So that's why some people go against the money, because they do believe it's fixed. I don't know. I can't. The look on the kicker's face, he didn't do it on purpose, but it just does lead it. Lane Kifford blows. I like when he was with his father at USC giving up 65 points a game. Yeah. Okay, Monty, you know what you're doing. Or we can call him Lame Kifford after the play calling. I'm surprised he's still at Ole Miss. The way that guy leaves jobs, he was at Tennessee for about 2 weeks, then USC. The way that guy leaves jobs, I'm surprised he's still at Ole Miss. They've been there, 3-4 weeks now. That's your college lines. It's so many fucking. See, this is where they get you. There's so many games that you got to be careful. You got to find the ones, and that's where I go once I plug in my A team, Z team, U team, whatever the fuck they are team. That's what so it's all art of war. We're going with strength. We're betting against weakness. We know the strengths: Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Notre Dame, da-da-da-da-da. It's the weaknesses that we make a lot of money on, figuring out what who's the weakness, and then betting against it. There's also like the Dukes, who are very strong this year. They're getting 5.5. They should be favored in the game. So Duke's a better team than Notre Dame. They're put it this way: they beat Clemson 28-7. That's enough said. So they're a very good team. This will be curious, but how does Notre Dame react? They're so emotional, and they blew the game. They lost with 3 seconds left, but it shouldn't even have been. If Hartman throws, if they have better plays, Hartman should have scored more points. Their defense played well on those 4th and 1s, but Duke's a very good team, so don't sell them short. I think it's like Iowa laying 11.5 to Michigan State. That's your game, right? Michigan State's terrible. Iowa just got killed by Penn State. They are going to be pissed. Here comes Michigan State rolling in, which should be a 38-0 game, right? That's what you're really trying to find, and that's where it gets lost in the shuffle with all these teams. That's what you're looking for. So that's what you've got to analyze the teams to understand. But then you've got the injuries, and then you've got who do they got next? Does Oklahoma play Texas next week? Does Notre Dame? We know they play USC in a couple of weeks. That's mid-October. So all the teams, we've got to see how all the teams react, right? And that's where we will see it. But there's so many. That's why, like, don't bet props. I mean, you want to throw props on top of this, you got to be out of your mind. Just study the board, find the weak teams, and you basically are going against. You're trying to go against the weak teams and go with the good teams. It's basically the bottom line. And you try to bet the dog on the A's, A versus A's. You want the dog. And you want to bet against the Z's. You're looking for the overs. As we've talked, USC's an over team. So is Colorado, I think. Although I'm not sure after last week. So that's how do you decide? How do you determine, do we take USC or do we take the over? How do we determine if Colorado is going to score on? Are they going to pull an Oregon and not score, or are they going to score on USC? Well, they're at home. They're embarrassed. They got their ass handed to them. USC doesn't have the defense that Oregon does, and it's not at USC. So if Colorado can give you 25 points, you're going to get 50 from USC. So you'll probably be in the 70s. So but the number's so high at 73.5, I don't know what you can do with it. It's very hard to bet a 73.5. I mean, it looks like you should get it, but then what happens? Colorado will start, or USC will start running the ball to keep Colorado on the bench and to keep their defense rested. And, next thing you know, it's 28-7 USC in the fourth quarter. You're like, what the fuck happened? So, got to be careful. I do think USC runs it just puts up 50 for sure. So then are you better off laying 15, or are you better off with the 66? So check your injuries. Cam Rising, I don't know what the fuck. Who does Utah got? Let me try to find them. Utah's Friday night. They got Oregon State. So they got a defensive team in Oregon State, which is very good for the under in this game, provided Cam Rising doesn't play. But then you've got Oregon State as a 2.5-point favorite to Utah. How do you not take Utah at 8.5? I mean, wow. especially against Uglia Buglia. Oh, well, how many interceptions is he going to throw? He might throw 7, 8 interceptions in the game. I mean, he's never seen a defense like this. This is unbelievable defense. So it's either or. You either take Utah or you go under 51. Either way. Oof. But that's why you make a list. You go, okay, I want to bet the Utah game. I want to bet the USC game with Colorado, the Duke Notre Dame, and then here's my weak teams. Then you got Oregon, Stanford, and Oklahoma, Iowa State under. So there's so many games that you get locked into that sometimes you miss. Like I've been picking up Liberty and James Madison. I've been winning with. I hit Liberty the last 2 weeks. They got the Coastal Carolina coach. They're scoring, and they're playing weak shit teams. So you don't want to miss them because you're looking at USC, Colorado, and Notre Dame, Duke, and the Utah game, the Washington game, the Oregon game. So you don't want to miss that, and that's really a good money game. I don't know, is Liberty playing? I think Liberty's playing this week. Somewhere in here. Excuse me. Yeah, it's tough because I get up, I go to the pool, then I kind of eat, which makes me tired. Then I do this 2.5 hours. Liberty. I don't know. I'll check. I thought they were playing this week. They've been a really hot team. Good scoring. Maybe I didn't. Maybe they're off this week. I'll double check. But you find the hot teams. You find the teams. Air Force playing San Diego State, and then you look for the really bad, strange lines that we found a few of where we thought they'd be 20-point favorites and they're 3. What was that one game? Georgia State, Troy. I got Georgia State by 10.5. They're laying 1.5. I mean, that's crazy. That's really low. What was that other one? It was the wrong team. Yeah, Kent. I got Kent 3 over Miami. Miami of Ohio is 15-point favorites. Excuse me? Hello? I don't know. Yeah, Utah, Oregon State. I got to figure Utah should be favored in the game. But this is why I bet early, because you bet you want to get the spread. Like, what's the Seattle game, the Monday night game next week? The Giants are 1.5-point favorites. Are you kidding me? I get Seattle in 7.5 against the Giants. Yeah, I want to bet them like now. I don't want to wait till Monday night to bet Seattle as a dog to the Giants. That's a gold. That's a couple of gold ounces, Bobby. That's right there is beautiful play. So anyway, anybody here on Joe Burrow for tonight? I mean, is he alive? Is he breathing? Let's see. Is Joe Burrow? Joe Burrow injury report 5 hours ago. Bengals quarterback. So what the fuck? Says they could be without him. He re-aggravated his calf, but you're not telling me anything I don't know. Does anybody have an idea? Joe Burrow's injury status by somebody at the Cincinnati Enquirer. Reported Monday that barring a setback, Burrow would try to play on Monday night. Earlier on Monday, the whatever wrote that Burrow who was scheduled to go throughout a workout early in the day was trending in the right direction. So it sounds like he's going to try to play, but it also sounds like he's injured. Some guy on Twitter, Joe Burrow is feeling better, and barring a setback from now until kickoff, the Bengals is going to try and go tonight. See, it still doesn't sound good. He's going to try to go tonight. Gold's, what is it at? $19.15, but we don't care. That's paper gold. All right, I'm going to do a quick thing on what I showed you yesterday with Egon, but just 5 minutes of it. I think it's a good thing to watch again just to get Egon's view.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with our monthly Matterhorn interview, and today it's really a harsh fight against it.
Here now is a physical market with high demand that is not offset by the manipulated Western markets where there is just paper gold or primarily not just but primarily paper gold traded and not physical. And this is what we've been expecting for a long time, Jan. We know that the gold price is set totally in the paper market. That dwarfs the size of the physical market. And we've been talking about before that once people ask for delivery, which is what they're doing in China, then there isn't enough physical gold around. Remember that there are 3,000 tons roughly produced annually, plus a bit of scrap of gold. And that's in today's market, which is a slow market, not with a high demand. It's a good constant demand, but no panic demand and no excess demand. But all of that 3,000 tons plus the scrap gold of a bit over 1,000 is being absorbed by the market every year with the price staying at the highs, more or less. And therefore, when people who hold paper gold ask for delivery, there just won't be any physical gold. We know that. And the only way then that this physical demand can be satisfied is not by producing more gold, because we can't produce more gold in the world. We are more or less at peak gold. And therefore, the only way it can be satisfied is, of course, by higher prices. People will got less gold for the same amount of money because they have to pay a lot more for it. And then we're going to see that in the next few years. We know that was going to come. We have been patient, Jan, for many years, and rightly so. But we know that supply cannot. When supply cannot meet demand, which is what's going to happen in the physical market, then there'll be a price squeeze, and that's an absolute certainty. When it comes, it doesn't matter. We're sitting here safely with our gold, and we're insured, and we're just waiting for that moment to happen. In the meantime, we don't worry about the price.
I think this is something that will happen in the USA also. Let me read what Bai wrote. He is a Chinese analyst, and he wrote also on Twitter, the Shanghai price is the real price of physical supply and demand, while the price of COMEX is the false price, because large numbers of naked shorts is false supply. So there is no comparability between the two price systems. That is exactly what you just said, Egon. And an article Kitco also used this fact and wrote an interesting article. You find this in the box also. Quote from there: China is the biggest gold consumer on the planet. It is the biggest gold importer. It's the biggest gold refiner. It's the biggest jewelry market and one of the biggest investment markets. It has the potential to grow, he said. What happens in China doesn't stay in China. Yes, probably it will happen everywhere. Not to mention that the Chinese economy is also in turmoil. We talked about that in the past, Evergrande and the whole real estate bubble there. It is also a physical demand from people, as everywhere, trying to protect their savings.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when you say that the real price is in China, well, it is. I would even argue that it isn't even the real price, because we haven't seen the real price yet. Because the real physical demand for gold that will come because of the fact that the paper holders of paper gold will ask for delivery. That will show the real price of gold. That will show that the world cannot deliver that gold that is necessary to satisfy the outstanding paper claims, and that's what's going to show us at some point. I'm not saying when, because we've waited a long time, but it will happen. Then we will see the real price, and that will be very, very different to what we're seeing today. And of course, to say the Chinese, I mean, they are massive savers. Okay, times are tough.
So if you understood what he just said is, the guy thinks the Shanghai price is real and the COMEX is paper, but what he's really saying is the Shanghai is still paper. And what Egon said is, well, you haven't even seen the price because we haven't seen it priced in physical. There's much more demand for physical gold than supply for physical gold. So that's why when I say 50,000, it's because this is a fantasy price. This is a paper price, which is based on many more ounces than reality. And that's what Egon is saying here is the price you're going to see is nowhere near the price that it is now. It's going to be much, much higher because it'll be a physical price, which we don't have now. We've only had the paper price. I'll get back to it in a minute. So, Bobby, we can call him Lane Giffen after they play calling. Yeah, he just walks away on everybody. Exactly. Was very disappointed in Hartman. He's fallen into Mac Jones category. I don't know that it was Hartman's fault. I don't think Hartman cost him the game. I don't know. He seemed to look good. I didn't think he was the problem. I thought the play calling. Why is Hartman running a 4th and 1? Why, when you have this running back behind you? I thought, if anything, it was the coach's play calling sucked. Speak of embarrassed, right when I think the Broncos can't look any worse. Tua does not light them up. The running backs lit them up. One guy ran for 250 yards, and the other guy ran for 200 yards. It was not Tua. The running backs got like 4 touchdowns each or something like that, or combined. Tua did very little in the game. It was basically just handing the ball and the running back, and Denver couldn't tackle. That's what it was. So it wasn't Tua. Sean Payton must feel super embarrassed. Well, obviously, but there's so many injuries on the defense. What can he do? But I would think they would play. What are they this week? This week we got Denver 3 over the Bears. Now the Bears suck, but Fields runs. So are they going to do anything with that? But yeah, they probably should play a better game. They should be upset and embarrassed. For his sake, I hope Jay Brady is still listening in, as he needs to learn this stuff. Everybody needs to learn it. All right, let's.
China now, it's not really easy for the consumer even there. but still they save a major percentage of their income, and they also many of them buy regularly gold, which the West hasn't started yet with. No individual in the West buys gold on a regular basis.
do, Egon.
And we know that it's only 0.5% of world financial
Insulting
assets
me.
in gold anyway. So that will come also, and therefore, but you don't. You and I don't need to sit here and talk up gold. We know that it's the only safe way of protecting your wealth. It's the only money that has survived in history. So we can just sit on our gold and advise investors to do the same, and just be patient, because the market will take care of the rest. Whenever that happens, if it's tomorrow or in a week's time or in a month or in a year's time, it doesn't really matter when it happens, because when you are protected,
Sorry, Egon.
about the price.
That's right. We cannot talk the gold price up, Egon. We can only bring people into the direction to take precautions and protect their own wealth. Even it is a bit boring to wait so long, but as I always say, rather stay in these times while it's still quite organized, because when the gold price moves to 10,000, it will look differently. Final word, Egon, for today?
Yes, remember that the gold price in itself is just a reflection of the total mismanagement of the financial system and the massive issuance of debt. So it's just a consequence, and it's all throughout history. It has always reflected this mismanagement and the fact that all currencies go to zero over time without fail. So that's why people should just sit tight, because we are likely to have the biggest financial crash in the world or in world history in coming years. Don't know when, but the risk is that it can happen at any time, or it can take a number of years. And it really doesn't matter. When you know that the fire is coming, you buy your fire insurance today, and you just sit on it and don't worry about it. And what a wonderful fire insurance. This is real. You're holding on to real gold, which is actually, it doesn't disappear. It doesn't lose value. It actually increases value as the problems mount. So it's the simplest hedge you can buy in the world, and the best hedge you can buy. And that, we're not gold bugs. I'm not a gold bug at all. I just see it as the best way of protecting yourself, your family, your investors, if you have. And that's why we are trying to inform people here that's what they need to do, yeah.
That's what we continue to do, a fire insurance that survives the fire. Egon, thank you for today, for the September issue, and let's talk again next month.
You gotta love the Swiss. Now that when they tell you stuff, you learn a lot. But I like Egon's the way he explains it. It's very like Mark McGuire starts talking these weird things and this casino and the silos. Like, Mark, what the fuck are you talking about? Egon just lays it out very simply. What's Bobby up to? Sean, yeah, he feels super embarrassed for his sake. Professor dropped ego on his face. Yeah. Got a little tired. Looks like the alligator rug pulled its all. I don't know what that means, but basically that's what's coming. And I know you guys when, and you just really got to understand it's going to, that's why I use the Titanic as the example, because the boat's sinking. It's not a question, will it sink? It hit the iceberg and the water's coming in and everybody's like, oh, this boat can't sink. It's unsinkable. And no, I assure you, I'm sure the Romans said the same thing in Rome, ancient Rome. Oh, we're the Roman Empire. We can't go down. Oh, I assure you, you can. I assure you it's sinking. But I like the fire. I used that fire line. You must have been listening last time. when he said the house is burning down and you're going to move from the bedroom to the kitchen, like that's going to save you. But that's why I tell you to buy as much as you can, as quickly as you can. And I've been saying this. I remember I was in Alabama and I was telling that one guy, I says, you better buy now. Now, it was a year ago or maybe more than that, but we don't know when it's going to happen. So therefore, all you can do is be prepared. Like I said, the Noah's Ark story. Well, I mean, the flood happened, and so we know it happened, and it's the same thing. We know this is happening. There's no escape. Back to my critical thinking that I put in my heading, that you should always dig in, right? If something happens that's funny, critical thinking is something happened. What was it? What caused X to have? What caused this team to win by 50? What caused the Ohio State, Notre Dame? What caused it to be low scoring? Because we're expecting it to be high scoring. Hartman and Ohio State, and it was 4 times inside the opponent's 20. They went for it and didn't make it. Well, that's going to kill your over. But Ohio State's at the 1 and 10. You're expecting 2 touchdowns. Notre Dame's at the 30 and the 19. You're expecting at least 10 points there. That's roughly 20 more points added to your 31, get you to 51. We only needed 48. So that's what you always need to understand is the expected. A girl smiles at you, you ask her out, you're expecting her to say yes. You're not expecting her to say no. So what then you have to do, so if she says no, you have to do critical thinking going, well, why did she smile at me but not go out with me? Or you get it in poker. Well, he made the bet, so he must have a hand, and then he doesn't, and you got to think, well, wait, if he made the bet, why did he make the bet? And then he had, or he didn't have, or he didn't bet and he had a good hand. So you're always thinking of why that, well, why'd you do that if you weren't going to, why'd you do A if you didn't get to B? But that's critical thinking. So it's always, I do it a lot in football, trying to pick the game and getting the expected outcome by critical thinking, which then leads to the score. Okay, Texas Baylor under. Yeah, I was right. The Ohio State Notre Dame under, I was wrong, or over, I was wrong. But why was I wrong? So again, it's a lot to do with Hartman and a lot to do with Ohio State. And we got a little skewed by the Western Kentucky game where Ohio State scored, because before then they beat Youngstown State 35-0. You would never have thought it over. And had they not had that Western Kentucky game, I would have taken Notre Dame as the dog in the game. But had that not happened, the Western Kentucky, Notre Dame might have been favored. So that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to figure it out and then figure the expected outcome. You use critical thinking, which is, why did the stock market crash in 1929? Or why did we go off of gold? Or why are we at war with Russia? You're trying to, you see it, but then you try to dig into, why is Rising out? And then we see, well, it ain't his Utah. It's not the coach, and it's not the Utah doctor. It's the LA Ram doctor who did the surgery, keeping him out. Well, why, if the Utah doctor says he can play, is the Ram doctor saying no? How could they're both doctors? Why would the one doctor say he could play at Utah if he's ready? If he's not healthy, fine. But if he's healthy and one doctor says it, and then why does the LA Ram doctor dictate if he can play or not? Why should that be? Why isn't it up to the coach, or why isn't it up to the Utah doctor? You guarantee if it was Alabama and Rising was there, he'd be playing, because I guarantee you it would be up to Nick Saban and not up to the doctor. He rug pulled us all since he has disappeared. No, I showed you his video last week. This one. Banking crisis. There's alligator. That was 6 days ago. I showed you that. but it was the same stuff he talks about. So it's credit crunch to lead to global banking crisis. Well, we already know that. So I didn't spend a lot of time on it because he's explaining stuff that we already know. That's like explaining there's inflation. Yeah, we don't need to waste time. Egon, that was a very recent one. Egon's. This was 3 days ago, and it was nice. It was 18, 19 minutes, and he gets to the point that we know that now there's been a paper price now that'll go to the physical price. And that's what I keep saying, that nobody understands here is there's two prices. I remember when I was at work at that other shithole, the Bernie Madoff place, I told the general manager, well, that price isn't real. And he looked at me, what are you talking about? Yeah, that's the real supply demand price. This is COMEX is a fantasy price. It's a paper price. It's got to get to physical. And that's what I've always not understood, is why the paper price is used to price gold and not the physical price. So, I mean, if I go to the grocery store, this is what's sitting on the shelf. This is the physical. That's what you buy it for. So if there was a paper price of Canadian Club, it'd be, $2. So, I mean, why don't people, or I guess people think that when I went to the gold store Saturday, Bobby, I bought my final 1/10 of an ounce to get the 55 on the nose. And again, he's still pricing. He's pricing his physical in paper. That's why I laugh. That's why I go there so often, even though Egon doesn't think so, is because I know they're pricing it in paper and not physical. And I keep buying physical for the paper price. That's why I'm like, just thank you, God. Thank you for keeping this paper price around for us. So we're lucky that it's still here. It gives us a huge advantage. What did he say when you told them comes is BS? No, COMEX is BS. They don't understand it. Like I said, one guy says, well, I got oil stocks. I don't play gold. They clearly don't understand that, because it's never explained, right? Except for here and Egon and maybe Alligator, they don't really explain there's a paper and a physical price. So everybody thinks the paper price is the real price, and that when they see it go down 19, what does Luke say? Oh, gold's down again. And I keep saying, what? That's the physical, that's the paper price going down. We don't give a fuck. That's why I'm waiting. I'll show it. I'll show this little 5-minute thing on Egon when Luke comes on. Because he doesn't understand, and there's most of the people don't. Most of the people don't understand paper is not physical. The paper price is manipulated by JP Morgan because he doesn't want the competition. So nobody understands that. They think the paper price is the real price. That's why nobody's in it here. And it's funny though, they'll say, well, the gold, there's only 0.5% of the world assets are in gold. That's really misleading. Since you have the inflation, the amount goes up, right? There's so many billionaires. But so I think gold's gone up a lot more than they think, because it might be 0.5%, but it's, again, all the paper being printed, the assets are worth a lot more in inflated dollars. So really, it's not 0.5%. It's probably 4 or 5% in gold now, because you've got to then add in for inflation. So if it was $1 trillion in assets, and then you had 0.5% in gold, and now it's $10 trillion, and it's the same amount of gold because gold weakened price. So really, it's probably more like 5% are in gold, but you just keep going. Gary Soloway said that gold is better in 2024 and Bitcoin was better in 25. Who's that, Bobby? I have no idea. Hey, Professor, I like your opinion on a teaser I'm looking at tonight. I took Philadelphia and the Rams because I don't think that Burrow, I don't think is healthy. Philly's a strong road favorite, but my opinion, So if you like Tampa as a home dog, that's fine. I just like Philly. They're a very strong road favorite. Otherwise, I think the Rams will hang in there. I think it'll be a close game. I don't know how Burrow's not 100%, so they're down 2-0, but I think the Rams are a good team, so I definitely like them, but I don't know about Tampa yet. Again, it's tough because they play these shit teams, and then you don't know what to get out of them. I mean, they beat Minnesota, and then would they beat Chicago or whatever? What did Tampa Bay beat New Orleans? No, that's next week. Tampa Bay beat Minnie week 1, and then last week they beat Chicago. So what do you get out of? What can you get out of? What do you get out of that? That's the problem. Beating Chicago is like beating the Brother Rice High School, and so I'm not sure what you get out of it. So that in effect is the problem. Beating Chicago is like beating a high school team. I thought beating Houston and Indy were like beating a high school team until Indy and Jacksonville, Baltimore and Jacksonville lost. Now you wonder how bad is Baltimore? Baltimore just lost to Houston. No, Baltimore just lost to Indy. Now, granted, Minshew was the quarterback, so it's not like they lost to Richardson, but Jesus Christ, I mean, that's embarrassing. And that's the problem with Lamar. He's not Tom Brady. He doesn't throw 5 touchdowns a game. The score was 22-19. You put up 19 points on Indy? What the fuck's wrong with that? Burrow, is he becoming the Madoff? You and your Madoff. No, Burrow's hurt. It's not like he's playing bad. Lamar is playing bad. Trevor Lawrence just sucks, right? But Burrow's injured. Even Mahomes looked bad the first week against the Lions, although they dropped 10 passes. And then he didn't look good against Jacksonville. It was 17-9. What the fuck kind of score was Kansas City, Jacksonville, 17-9? But then, okay, he gets the Bears. So does that even count that Mahomes beat the Bears 41-10? Is that like a real game or not? That's kind of what you look at. Burrow may be a little gimpy tonight. I'm sure he is gimpy. Bobby, I think he's got an Achilles problem. I don't think it's a calf. I don't think a calf lasts 2 months. Here at that early August, we're damn near in October, and he still can't play on it. That's not a calf muscle. That's something else. I agree, Professor. Lamar is truly embarrassing himself lately. By the way, Ravens defense forced a safety on Mushes, or Ravens would have lost even sooner. Yeah, the guy ran out of the end zone. Whatchamacallit? Minshew. He ran out of the end zone, right? He did an Orlovsky. I got you, Bobby. So that's the thing. So what happens? We look at the paper Comex price today and we go, oh, it's down 9 points or $9. And the one thing they don't show you is the dollar price. How much is this worth? Oh, this is only worth 2 cents. If they showed you that, nobody would be in it, but they don't. But because I'm a critical thinker, I understand that this is worth, that's why I rip it up, because it's just paper. This is worth 2 cents because I critically thought about what's going on, and I said, that's what it is. So you always want to get to the bottom of things. I guess that's what a critical thinker is that I'm trying to explain today. The other thing I wanted to talk about was management styles. I worked a lot of jobs. I get a lot of jobs, and a lot of them are terrible management. I don't think I worked at AAA as an actuary, which I had no idea I was going to be an actuary or what an actuary does. I wasn't trained in it. I don't go for I'm not trying to get the actuary degree or whatever it is. And I was thinking about that, and the manager doesn't understand his role. A manager's role, my role here is to teach you gold and silver and economics. That's my role. I'm the teacher and or the manager. Or when I managed my daughter's softball team in second, third, fourth grade, was to teach the girls how to hit. Like I said, the example I used, one girl was watching the bat. I could see her eyes was on the bat, not on the ball. So I said, watch the ball and hit the ball. You aim at the ball with the bat. That's how you hit. You don't look at the bat. So I could see one girl in particular. This was in sixth grade, and she had been playing, and she had no idea what she was looking at. But it's stuff like that. That's how a manager is. You try to assist your under workers to be better, and if they have problems, to help them and everything. This guy at AAA was horrible. He'd yell at people. He didn't help me at all, but he wouldn't let me ask questions because it would look like he's an idiot. Why are you asking me? So I'd go to the actuaries. I go, why are you asking me? Well, because I want to know. I'm tired of not knowing the answers, and my boss won't give them to me. That's a bad manager. I got a terrible manager at Toyota. The last job was terrible. The Harley job was okay, and the Mercedes job was great. So sometimes you get lucky and you get a good manager. Most of the time you get terrible managers. And so you stress because you don't even know what you're supposed to do because the management's so bad. And part of the problem in finance and IT is I'm trained to do spreadsheets and budgets, and I got a master's in corporate finance. I don't have a master's in management. There's a skill to managing people that is sorely lacked. Yet what you see in companies in a finance or IT department is just some guy who knows finance and IT. They promote him to manager, but he doesn't know. He doesn't understand people. He doesn't understand what a manager is supposed to do and how to make, I shouldn't be stressed because my manager can't communicate what the hell I'm supposed to do. That was like Toyota in Alabama. That I had no idea what the primary role was other than filling in the actuals versus budget and stuff. And that one day in the office when I almost killed the Japanese guy, he why didn't you go over this with the budget with the guy? It was to mow the lawn of this 20-acre plant. And the guy came up with $1 million budget. This is what it should cost us to do the land and the landscaping for the whole year. It was $1 million. So I asked him, but it'd be like you, Bobby. I would trust that you called the guy and you got a number. I did ask you, is that right? Does that seem high? And you said, no, that's fine. So I'm okay. I asked Bobby, I did my due diligence. You don't have me to get the quotes. You got Bobby as the manager of that department to go get the quotes, not me. That's why he's the manager. And so the Japanese guy is getting on my case going, well, why didn't you call? And I go, because that's what the manager's job is. And he starts yelling at me. And then I says, you're out of line, man. I said it 10 times because he's yelling. I go, why are you yelling? Like, what the fuck is your problem? You don't own me. You don't control me. No. That doesn't work with the professor. You don't yell at the professor. I'm at this level and yelling's at this level, right? No. Talk to me like we talk. That's how I am. But if you start yelling, I do INFJ on you and I shut you out. And, he started yelling and I kept saying, you're out of line. And then I knew it was pissing him off. So I kept saying it more, but I was like, I'm not afraid of you. You're an idiot. All I care about is gold because I can see the economy is about to collapse. and I'm buying gold. So, that's all I care about, is getting as much gold as I can. And anyway, I thought he was out of line, but this is like the treasurer's like, you're way out of line. You don't understand your role here. And this is the problem with most companies. That's why a lot of people hate working for them. All the politics, you probably get it in baseball, Bobby, or football, where you're a good player, but the manager doesn't like you, so you don't play, and you're like, I should be playing because I can play. That's why, if you're a good manager, you would not fight me, you would work with me. And I think that's a big problem. I was counting the good jobs that I enjoyed. I had good management, and the jobs I hated, the management was horrible. They would assume you knew everything, which you don't, and but they wouldn't help you. Hey, I have a question here. Well, will you go figure it out? Well, no, you're the manager. You should know this if you're giving it to me, and we should be able to sit down and talk about it and take 10 minutes to get the answer, not me to figure it out. That's not managing. That's, if you guys ask me for an opinion on gold, and my answer is you figure it out, I'm not teaching. That's not teaching. When I figure it out and tell you, and I bring in Egon and Alligator to the class, then I'm doing my job to prepare you for what else is about to happen. So I look at it as I'm preparing you for this incredible economic collapse. And as I watch Margin Call, and I watch The Big Short and Attack on Wall Street, as I watch these movies, I watch them more than once to understand, like, all the businesses are out for themselves. None of them give a fuck about the customers. And all three of those movies, they all said, fuck you to the guy. Well, that's the risk. Like in Attack on Wall Street, the Home Alone guy says, well, they played. That's what happens. No. This isn't a fair game. This is like the New Orleans kicker missing on purpose. Wait a minute. I bet the over, or the sharps bet New Orleans on a fair game, not on a kicker missing on purpose. And if you're going to do this with the real estates, as the people aren't paying their things, and you're just going to dump them and everybody loses their money, no, that is not the risk you take for doing the real estate trust. That's you fucking everybody over. And they should have been held in contempt and gone to jail for 100 years. That's why he killed everybody, because there's no justice. These guys were doing all this shit, and because the banks own the government, they're not going to prosecute themselves. So they all get away scot. And Madoff, JP Morgan should have went to jail. The SEC should have went to jail. Nobody got any trouble for scamming everybody. And that's what I noticed the most. So in these movies, in The Big Short, you just got idiot. It was mostly idiots who are salesmen working at these companies, selling you to buy commission that's Wall Street stuff that's in dollars. This is the problem. They sell you that. That's what you buy, and they sell you the promise you're going to get rich, and then they get you so they make the commission off of you with the false pretense you're going to get rich, which you never will. The guys who get rich are the Ponzi schemers, not the actual. Warren Buffett does not get rich with his investments. He gets rich at stealing people with his insurance company. That's where he makes his money, not on stocks. When he loses money on Tesla or Disney, he doesn't tell you that part of it. Everybody thinks he's this guy. He's this bullshit. That's all he is. He's not real. You can never invest the way he invests in 5 companies. It's all bullshit. Who knows if he even invests in it? But anyway, what it is you're going to get rich buying stocks. And when the market goes down, what do you hear? Oh, buy stocks. Buy on the dip. It dropped. Buy. You should be asking, why did it drop? Why did the market drop? That's the critical thinker, right? He would go, The market dropped because of the inflation. Since this is going to zero because you're inflating it, there's no way the market can go up because this is inflated. Cost will go up. How will the companies be more profitable? They won't. How will the consumers have more money to buy? They won't. So if we get less value for our money, how the fuck are the stocks going to go up? Who's going to buy a car with high interest rates because of inflation? So the dip is because of inflation, and it's manipulated just like JP Morgan with the COMEX. There's no difference between the stock market and COMEX. JP Morgan controls it. So if you think you're going to get rich, you're out of your mind. It's not going to happen. So it's my role as your teacher to sit there and say, this is why it's happening, and this is to lead you to where you're going to be safe. So I'm holding your hand. We're on the Titanic. It says, okay, there's the gold boat over there. Just get into this boat, go into the gold boat, and sit there and wait. And I'll be there, and we'll be fine. We have nothing to worry about. That's really that's how I'm doing this, is getting you into gold, because I'm explaining what's happening. I might get a little in depth, and I might repeat, but I don't care. It's to hammer the point home that this is the critical point of why you don't go back into the stock market. And Bobby, you asked me about houses, and I tell you, forget about it. It's not coming down. Get the fuck out. It's good when the prices are down, but they've already bubbled up. So if the housing market already bubbled up, and what happened in the 2008 crash, they reimbursed all the Wall Street because that's what the government had said. They wanted everybody to be in houses because they wanted votes. So they said, don't worry if you let people in with no credit, no income, just sell the house. We want the American dream. And all they wanted was votes. This is Clinton. So these guys, this Pat Man and the other idiots and Steve Carell should have known from there. I knew from there. They should have known. They should have been able to go A equals B equals C. Clinton wants these people with bad credit to get houses. It ain't going to happen. And then all the people buying the Ritz are, again, if they would have bought gold. See, but the problem with the gold is everybody sees the physical. They think the paper price is the physical price, and they don't see when the physical price is going to come in because it's controlled. If the paper price is being used and it's controlled, when is the physical price going to ever happen? And they think there's no way it can happen. And it still went up from 35 to 2,000 being manipulated. That shows you how strong the demand is. But now we got the BRICS, we got the oil for gold, and we got the new gold-backed currency, and we've got everybody blowing up their dollars with the inflation. The whole world blowing their dollars up. So that's what'll finally do it. Why it went to paper pricing is beyond me. That was something that the Fed did or somebody did to try to, because we didn't have any gold. So Nixon, as he pulls us off, says, well, everybody's going to want their gold back because everybody else understands it. So we got to manipulate the price so it's low and they won't come after it. But so it's been manipulated probably the whole time. Even in the 1900s, it was 25, well, maybe $25 an ounce in the 1920s or 30s was probably right. And that price now should be 20,000. So that's the other part of it. But that's what I find the problem is with management and teachers. They really are clueless how to teach or how to manage because they don't know how to manage. This isn't a unique skill that I'm able to develop, which I got really coaching my daughter's fast pitch teams. I even learned how to pitch fast pitch. It's a bitch, Bobby, because we're not used to throwing underhand. But I learned it all for my daughters, but then it was, I'm responsible. When I get done with you, you'll know how to play baseball and not, we're just out here for a Sunday afternoon. But that's the thing. So if I'm teaching gold and silver, now this is in economics, this is a subject I got a master's in. And now you got to figure out, how do I teach it? How do I tell you guys so you understand it? So I got to keep it at a base level, not like Mark McGuire, who says, well, the casino this and the ring fence that. Like, what the fuck's he talking about? He can't explain it very well. Egon can. Alligator, pretty much. Alligator's got his moments where you don't like, what the fuck you talking about? But that's where it is. Even football, I get into extreme detail of what to look for to pick the game. I mean, it's all critical thinking. It's all why. Why is this here? Why is this spread? Why is why is Philly 4.5 point favorites tonight? Why? Well, because they're the better team. So you try to understand all that. And I make my own lines. I'm pretty fucking accurate, college and pro. There's a few that were a little bit off, but not a lot. I mean, I think I had one or two where I have Kent -3 and Miami of Ohio's 15-point favorites. So I got to, again, that was just because Kent was at home, but I got to factor in the team. But in the pros, all right, Green Bay, I have -3 because they're at home and Detroit's a favorite. Why is that? They should never be favored here. The same thing with Atlanta. Why is Jacksonville favored -3? You got to be kidding me. Why is Buffalo only 2.5 to Miami? See, because people look at the wrong things. So again, you've got to understand things. That's why I tell you, if you want to learn how to play poker or craps, you have to understand it. You have to figure it out. I get frustrated with chess. Let me read your stuff, Bobby, in a second. You should smack him with your silver bar. Yeah, and Mark McGuire brings on those weird guests. Oh, I hate the guest. Makes me wonder who's he going to bring on his show next. Sammy Sosa, yeah. Well, you wouldn't mind if he brought The Rock on or Stone Cold or somebody, then you could understand it. But yeah, I don't even have a desire to watch this week because I know I'll have a stupid guest on. Here's my problem. Once in a while, he brings Alligator on, and then, okay, but Alligator says the same thing he says when he's doing whoever's show he's doing. Alligator kind of repeats, nothing new. Egon, we get. I'm expecting Alligator to tell us. Well, Mark McGuire told us about Russia last time, which was good, how they had a meeting and they did. That's what I'm watching it for. So when he brings on these stupid guests, then you sit there and, like they make a big thing out of this Booth woman who worked for the Fed. Like, oh my God. And it's like, I watch it and I go, what's the big deal about this? She doesn't know anything anyway. All she says is they don't talk about gold. Bullshit. They do talk about gold. They can't because they're run by the banks who don't let them buy gold because of the politics, because JP Morgan says we've got to be in dollars. So the Fed doesn't talk gold because they're not in control. JP Morgan is. He doesn't want the competition because he runs the printing press, right? JP Morgan prints the money. He's got a monopoly on printing the money. So if he runs the Fed, do you think he's going to let the Fed talk gold? Do you think this woman understands it? No. What does she say? Oh, we can't even talk gold. Well, that's because of JP Morgan, not because they're idiots. This is the problem. So everybody thinks she's so great. And I just roll my eyes going, fuck, she doesn't know shit. But that's the problem. I can't watch the guests. And I keep saying, so I've emailed them. Last week I emailed them and said, I'll be a guest on your show. I'm an Austrian economist. I'd love to be a guest on your show and straighten out everybody. And once your viewers see me, they won't come back to your show. They'll come here because you can't get taught this by anybody because they're not teachers. They're salesmen. So when you see that Bill Haller or you see Shift or you see Rick Rude or you see all these guys, Andy Scheckman, they are trying to sell you. They are not teaching you. They are selling you. That's why you can't get anything out of their shows, because Scheckman will sit there for a half hour saying how the demand for gold is up and the price should be going up, but he doesn't get that it's priced in paper, not physical. He misses the basic premise that Egon hit. Gold is priced in paper. People are buying physical. You could buy all the physical you want. It's not going to change it because it's not priced in physical. It's priced in paper. He doesn't get that small little detail. We get it. That's why you can't listen to him, because all he's saying is the demand for silver is high. The demand for, but that'll never get the price up. It's impossible for the price to go up as long as it's priced in paper, no matter how many ounces of gold you buy, until we deplete the gold supply. And then the paper, they can't do the derivatives if there's no physical gold. Therefore, they run out. Therefore, the demand will say, I want physical, I don't want paper, and there isn't any. And then the price goes to the moon. And that's what we're waiting for, but we understand it. So it doesn't matter if I go and buy 5 ounces a week and Bobby buys 5 ounces a week. It's not going to raise the price. However, knowing what we know, we're buying a $10,000 ounce of gold for $2,000 or a 2,000 ounce of silver for $25. It's Christmas every weekend. It's how much can I afford? And that's why I talk you out of houses a lot, Bobby. I don't think it's good with the interest rates, number one. I don't know what kind of market you're going to have, because will people still be able to go to the beach in Tampa and rent your house enough that you make money on so is your market going to allow you to keep the price? And I worry about that, because I don't think it will. As everybody starts running out of money, the last thing they're going to do is go to Bobby Bo's cottage on the lake. I can't afford it. Or they're not going to go for a week. They go for 3 days. That's what I'm worried about. And then I got this gold thing that is about to explode. And I'm like, buy the gold, buy the cottage fucking later. When gold hits 50,000, 100,000 an ounce, go buy the house at that point. But the best thing to do is buy the gold and silver, because it hasn't gone yet. It's still waiting. It's still low. It's still paper priced. The house is not paper priced. The house is real priced. This is real price. This is not paper price. This is physical. So the reason you're in gold and silver is still at the paper price, which is nowhere near reality, right? It's in paper. But everybody has physical. Nobody has paper. So therefore, the price is so out of whack. That's the other point. The houses are physical. So it's not going to go up. You pay $500,000 for it. It ain't going to $1 million. That's why I yelled at the Canadian guy. You did what? You made $250,000 on your house, and you got 500 and put 400 grand down on a $700,000 house that you could have put 400 grand into gold. Are you out of your fucking mind? He doesn't get that. He doesn't get it's priced in paper. He doesn't get that the housing market's collapsing everywhere, Canada too. And so his 700,000 he put in the house, he'll be lucky to get 300,000 out. The 400,000 he put into the house, he could have bought gold and would never have to work another day in his life. But he doesn't understand that. And that's why I kind of get upset when, look, I'm teaching you. And if you want to go against me, then what the fuck are you in the class for? Why are you going against me? If I'm spoon feeding you the gold, buy the gold at the paper price, and you're not going to do it. I don't understand. Yeah, for real, I emailed him. Yeah, I never got a response. I'll show you the email. He had Peter Schiff on his show before. I have no idea. I'll show you. Let me go to my email. It's one thing I do, Bobby. When I say I do something, I do it. It's never, I say something. That's why I show you the girls. When I say I got Daria and I got Jenna in Russia and the Ukraine, I do. I don't. Let's see. So you can see guest on your class for Andrew McGuire. So right here, I'd like to be a guest on your class. And I sign it, the professor. So that's what I sent to him. So waiting for a response. But yeah, that's what I did. But it always, I kind of laugh like, I know 100 times more than these people, and then they're the big guest, and I just shake my head like, okay, well, all I can do is have my class, and it's a little harder to find me because I don't do the money, so I don't get the algorithm where I'm on the top of the class. That's why my title tends to be gold and football and economics and stuff like that to hit all these different barriers. But yeah, that's why I emailed. It's like I emailed the Liberty and Finance guy and he never responded. It's like, well, fuck you then. So I give him some dirty ass comments and say, fuck you. So anyway, that's why I kind of want to go to Switzerland and meet Egon. Like, Egon, we're going to dinner. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk. We're gonna have fun talk because we talk the same. But that's what you look for. That's why it's hard in the club when you talk to these idiot communists or socialists. They don't understand gold. They won't go against the government. I saw one lady yesterday. I was swimming and she had a T-shirt on that said, "Defund the media." Instead of the police. And she said, defund the media. I says, you mean defund the government? Because they're pathetic. And so we had a half-hour talk on gold because I knew I could talk to her because she's like defunding the media. So, but I'm not really a pro-Trump or a pro-Republican at all. I'm more like at the end, Egon says he's not a gold bug. I'm not really a gold bug either. I mean, what I am is that's the best place to put my money. So I put my money in it because it's the best place, not because it's gold. Like I don't buy, there's other things I don't buy to buy, but I do buy that because right now I know the money's going to zero. I know I can't buy another currency. So I go into gold and silver because A, I know it's about to explode, and B, it's the only place to put your money in. There's no other place to put it, as bluntly as I can say it. So you have to go there. It protects you, and it's going to go up at least 100%, if not 1,000. Silver will go up 1,000%. But it's the only place to put it. So once you realize it's the only place to put it, it's a very easy decision to make. But like you said, I don't know if I'm a gold bug or not. I'm not quite sure what it means, but I don't buy gold to buy gold. I buy gold because I want, like he says, the building's burning, and you're buying fire insurance while the building's burning, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm buying money insurance while the money is burning down. But So basically, that's what I meant by critical thinking, just to see something and think about it. Think about the why, and you'll be amazed once you dig into it. What's like Cam Rising? Why isn't he playing? Because the Rams doctor who did the surgery won't let him, which leads you to why won't he let him and why are they listening to him? If Cam Rising says he's good enough to play and he's tested by my doctor at Utah and he's practicing with no restrictions, so what if I play him? What's going to happen? What's the doctor going to do to me from the Rams doctor? What's he going to do to me if I play him? I mean, that's my question. What's he going to do if I play him? So anyway, we will see. But that's the sticking problem. That's why we never know till game time, because they're waiting for the doctor to say, okay, you can play. What the fuck's the doctor waiting for? He's probably just looking at it like, well, it normally takes 10 months to heal, so I'm going to keep him out 10 months. Then just fucking say it. Say, okay, he'll be ready to go October 1st as long as everything's fine. And that's what we're waiting for. So it may be a time thing where most people it takes 10 months, but Cam's ready, but he won't approve it until the 10th. I don't know. It's very frustrating because we all want him to play because we can make a lot of money on him, which is kind of strange, but it's exactly true, right? We can make a lot of money betting Cam Rising with that defense, and they could probably go to the championship game. There's nobody that can beat them with Rising and that defense. They would go undefeated. So that's the frustrating part. And then the question is, does the doctor realize that because he's a Ram guy and a USC guy, and he's going to keep him out of the USC game so they can win it? Are we getting to that point in our society that even the doctors are corrupt? And it wouldn't surprise me. And it wouldn't surprise me if the New Orleans kicker missed on purpose. So all the people that bet, all the sharps that bet New Orleans and made it go to 1.5, New Orleans all lost. That would not surprise me in the least. In fact, I think that's exactly what happened. The kicker could these guys are professional. They could make it look, he made it look close, but he missed it. And then he gave the old shrug. And I think back to the movie A Color of Money when Tom Cruise fixed the game with Paul Newman. And he says, I could see the layout. I was going to miss the 7 ball by this much in the side pocket. And the crowd oohed and on. He says, it was all planned. I planned to lose it like that. And so for the kicker to miss it, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Is it as fixed as Wall Street? No, I don't think so. But hey, if there was $10 million put on New Orleans that made the line move from 1.5 Green Bay to 1.5 New Orleans, that's a lot of money on it. So it wouldn't surprise me if the kid missed the kick on purpose. And maybe even why Green Bay went for 2 and went up 11 to, they were down 17-11 where they could win at 18-17 instead of tying it at 17 and then going to overtime where anything could happen. So there's a lot of things we take for granted that might not be taken for granted, might be planned. So keep that in mind. But with the gold, now that the Russians and Chinese are there, if it is planned out, it's planned to go up. But if you notice, they keep the price down, so if nobody has an interest for it, only people like us who can figure out the riddle will make money on it. Everybody else can't figure out the riddle, so they go, well, gold has no value, I wouldn't buy it. They don't have a clue it's even paper gold that they're priced, not physical, which I figured out a while ago too. Now, I didn't know it was like this in the 90s. Had I would have never bought a baseball card, and I would have just bought, I'd have 10,000 ounces of gold right now had I known that. But I'm doing okay with the baseball. The Montana and the Peyton and the Rice rookie cards and the Mantle and the Orr cards, so I'll be okay. But I would have bought a shit lot more gold Anyway, I guess that's it. So keep your eye on the gold, the economics. Everything's going to crash. The inflation will not go away. It's not 3% because it's printed money. You printed it to zero, so it can't go away. The interest rates can't go away because it's printed money. You've printed it. You've ruined the money supply. It's too much out there. It loses value. It can't come back. You can't raise interest rates to bring it back. No, but the banks are going to collapse. So it's like as soon as I get my money, I run to the bank, put it in my safe. And then the question is, how much money do I want in the safe before I start buying more gold with it? While gold's available at these prices. So I keep buying a little bit. I bought another 1/4 and 2/10 over the weekend. Why? Because I know I can afford to do that, and the money's in the safe, and off I go. So that's what it is. Keep in mind, they'll be coming out with new dollars. I assume they're headed for 2024, so I guess January. So this will go away. You'll replace it with the new one. That way it doesn't, because otherwise, how do you price everything? You're going to have to price things in silver and gold. So I go by Canadian Club. Let's say this is $75. How do I price it in gold and silver? I've got to be able to price this in gold and silver. Now, this is fine. The product's fine. The price is off. I got to determine the market for this in gold and silver. How do I do that for every fucking product? And your house and your salary, you want clothes. How do you come up with a fucking price for all this? You can kind of come out with the new currency and say, well, this is worth 50%. So if I give you 10 grand and you're going to give me 5 grand of the new currency, and then we'll just divide by 2 all the products. I mean, they've got to do it like that. That's why, otherwise, you got all these products, you got to reprice in gold and silver. I mean, obviously silver, but so what do you think the Romans did? The market was in gold and silver. They would, an apple would be a small ounce of silver or whatever. That's all it was. The reason that the prices are high is because the dollar keeps losing value. So I think you could price a lot of things in 1/10 of an ounce of silver. And then you've got to understand, everybody goes, well, how will I get change? They'll have gold and silver. So if you go to the grocery store and it comes to 5 ounces and 3/4 silver, and you give them 6 ounces, they'll have 1/4 ounces of silver to give you for change. I mean, because they can't take money, they would have to take silver for it. And they would have to do that. But the problem is there's not enough of it around at these prices. So therefore, the price will have to go up dramatically, which is what's going to happen. Anyway, there's going to be a lot of shit in the world. It's going to be a lot of crime. It's not going to be a real safe place because people will be upset that they got screwed and nobody knew about it. So just be careful. It's not going to be just like it is now. I hope I can get to Europe, get to my girls, and protect them from there. I don't know how much a plane's going to cost, a flight to Europe. I'm half tempted. Do I go there now and just wait? Or do I go in 6 months and just wait? I don't know, but it's I don't know how easy it is going to be to travel. Put it that way. Not good. Anyway, with that happy note, go buy your gold and silver. Price is low while it's available, because it ain't going to be available for long, and it ain't going to be available at these prices. All right, 5 o'clock. Time to eat. All right, www.teaserking.com. Have a good day. I will see you tomorrow around the same time. I won't go to the grocery store, so I'll go to the pool. It should be about a half hour earlier. All right, everybody. Have a good day. www.teaserking.com. Yeah, I'm on Philadelphia today, and the Rams, I think, are. We should get the expect. I think we get Cincinnati Ram game that's close. I think Philly could beat Tampa by a couple of touchdowns, but more than likely it'll be within 7. But Philly is a strong road favorite, so keep that in mind. All right, everybody. Time to mark my college. Have a nice day. See you tomorrow. So I didn't mind playing at Egon again. I might play it tomorrow because it's such an important piece. Although I think I'll play it in the beginning. That way you come in, you can see it. Or I might just do it separately just to get the point across. Because I know it's hard with 3 hours. 4 hours is finding the spots to figure out where I'm talking. All right, everybody. Have a good day. www.teaserking.com. And good luck tonight if you bet it. And there's some of those bets, get them in as soon as you can because I don't think that line's going to stay for long on some of these games. All right. Have a good day. Take care, everybody. www.teaserking.com. You can get my email there if you want to contact me with any questions or comments on economics, gold, or football. All right. Take care.